A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
It's the new kind of granulated soap for all three kinds of wash.
You? Is anybody?
There she is. That's Molly Goldberg, folks. A woman with a place in every heart and a finger in every pie. And now the makers of New Does. That new kind of soap for everything right down your wash line bring you another visit with those good folks, the Goldbergs. Attended a sidewalk broadcast? Well, just consider yourself invited to one right now. Now, let's say we're standing on a busy corner of Main Street, and I'm going to stop the first lady coming down the street with a shopping bag under her arm. Oh, there's one now. Good day, madam. Would you mind answering a few questions?
Well, who are you?
Well, I'm a radio announcer, and I'd like your opinion on an important wash day question.
Oh, well, of course I...
Well, now tell me. What do you think I mean when I say Does is one soap for all three kinds of wash?
Well, I suppose you'd mean Does gets dirty work shirts clean.
Yes, Does gets them wonderfully clean.
And gets grimy towels white.
Uh-huh. Dazzling white. Well, go on.
Well, now, you don't mean Does is safe for rayon slits and nicer colored washables, too.
Well, of course. Didn't I say Does does everything? In fact, their colors stay fresh and bright far longer when you do them with Does. That's where it's so different from the four other leading granulated soaps. Why, the extra color care Does gives you really makes those colored things stay wearable far longer. And that's important in wartime.
I'll say it's important, but I don't see how this one soap can do so much.
Well, just try New Does. You'll see it's a brand new kind of granulated soap. And say, Does really gets your towels and linens gleaming white, too. Why, you've never seen more dazzling white washes than Does gives you.
Now, remember, I don't like to scrub.
What woman does? There's no hard scrubbing and no boiling either with Does. Not even for those greasy black work shirts. Honestly, no soap made gets clothes clean easier.
Well, when you say Does does everything, you really mean it, don't you?
You bet. Just try Does. It's Procter & Gamble's new soap discovery. Ask for Does, D-U-Z, and next wash day, let Does do everything. And now, the Goldbergs. It's very late now at the Goldberg house, and downstairs, Sammy and Mikey are playing gin rummy. But their minds are far away from the cards. They're thinking of Emma. Sammy worrying, hoping, loving her in a desperate, almost insane way, and Mikey planning in some way to save his friend from this girl. Emma is not the kind of a girl that Sammy should love. There are a million reasons for him to stay away from her. And Mikey is trying to use jealousy to accomplish the parting. So, they play cards and wait.
Play another game, Sammy?
Why don't you go to bed if you're tired, Mikey?
No, I'm not tired.
You do. I don't know what your game is, Mikey.
What do you mean? We're playing gin, aren't we?
Yeah, we're playing gin.
What'd you say, Sam? I didn't get you.
Yes, you did.
You said something about what's my game, huh?
I'm smart enough to see through your game.
Oh, that's swell. Meantime, Emma is out with Bruce Hanley, a man that can marry her and take care of her and give her a home. We're just a couple of kids. I'm in the Army, so will you be any day now. Why don't we just leave her alone, Sammy, huh? She'll be all right married to Bruce Hanley. All care, Sammy, if Hanley doesn't.
You play.
You don't think she'll have me, do you?
Take a card.
Man just has to put out his hand with a girl like Emma. If he had enough to offer, she'll take the highest bidder. After all, what do I care, Sammy? I'm in the war. I want to win it. I don't give a hang about my life with Emma.
What do you mean, your life with Emma? Who do you think you're kidding?
Don't be so sure I'm kidding. You know, if I have to leave someone behind, I'd rather it was Emma than Rosie. Rosie's too nice to be worrying about me. Well, with Emma, the minute I stepped out of the house, she'd be off on a new campaign.
Excuse me? You play?
Yeah.
You play? You're not tired, Emily?
We'll be coming up soon, Mom.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. Gin? I was playing gin with Papa, too, tonight. Schneid at me. Put out the,
Mom.
I didn't say. You're sitting with nothing. Should I fix you something? I spill you a glass of milk, Emily.
No, thanks, Mom.
Mike and knick-knock.
No, Miss Cooper.
I got peaches. Stewed. Huh?
No.
Nice cold peaches. Maybe an orange I'll slice you.
Nothing for me, Mom.
No. Mikey, could I see a minute? Beautiful.
Yeah.
Time is late, huh?
Why don't you go to bed, Miss Goldberg? We'll wait for him.
Oh, I'm not worried about Emma. Not worried about Emma. Night.
Night, Mom.
Night.
Night.
Bruce Hanley's a very nice man. Extremely nice. I'm not worried that they're out late. Not at all. Why don't you take new cards? I got a new deck. Why should you use the old one?
They're good enough.
Yeah? All right. No, I'm not worried about Bruce Hanley. Why should I worry about Bruce Hanley? He's a very nice man. It's very nice that I will marry Bruce Hanley. I'll be extremely pleased. Hi.
My deal.
Your deal.
Even your mother thinks so.
My mother will think what I tell her.
Why don't you? Your mother likes Emma. You don't think your mother would be trying to get Emma to marry Bruce Hanley if she didn't think Emma was everything a girl should be, do you?
Mikey.
You don't like the word wife when it comes to Emma, do you?
That's 10.
All right. You don't think Emma... You don't think of her fitting in with the word wife, do you, Sam? Wife has always meant something else to you, hasn't it? And that's why you can't say anything to your mother, huh? Emma means something else to you, doesn't she? Something like a... Oh, don't throw the cards down. We'll only have to pick them up. All right, let me help you.
I'm picking them.
All right, don't push. Hey, is that a car?
Lay down, Sporty. Get away.
Is the car stopped?
Yeah.
Bruce Hanley's car?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you go upstairs, Mikey?
Let's finish the hand first.
Oh, no. I'm through.
Okay. Don't let us see you looking out of the window, Sammy.
Why don't you mind your own business? Why don't you keep out of my affairs? Why don't you let me work this thing out for myself?
Goodbye. I'm late. Are you waiting out for me?
No, we're playing cards. Come on, Sammy, I'm way ahead of you.
Emma? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry I'm so late. Coming to bed? Is it all right if I take a glass of beer?
Good deal, Mikey.
Yeah.
Still playing cards? Boy. You wouldn't be long, Emma? No. Good night. Night, Mikey.
Night, Mr. Cobra. stay where you are. She just broke a plate.
Oh, I broke a plate.
What's the matter? Nervous, Emma?
Why should I be nervous?
Take a card, Sammy. Did you have a nice time, Emma?
Yes, Betty.
Do you like Bruce Hammer?
Why don't you go to bed, Emma?
Wait, Emma. Tell us all about it, huh?
What do you want to know?
Nothing.
Sammy, I don't like him.
Oh, now, wait a minute. How can you tell you don't like him? Only been out with him once. Going to see him again, aren't you?
Well,
You made another date with him, didn't you?
he asked me to see him again, yes. Emma!
Go up, Emma.
I haven't finished.
Go up.
If you ask me not to see Bruce Henley again, I won't.
Why? That's foolish, Emma. You know, Bruce has a lot to offer you.
I'm asking her not to see Bruce Hanley again.
Good night.
What's the matter with Mikey? Sammy. You and Mikey are not good friends anymore.
Keep away from him.
Am I to blame?
Keep away from him.
Sammy, are you jealous of everybody?
Of everybody, yes.
Emma! Yes?
Wait, Emma. Wait.
Emma! Wait. I'll be down later.
Like someone drugged into losing his will, Sammy can no longer hear the very faintest words of reason. Emma is everything, and only Mikey may be able to help him. Here's an easy way to check up on whether you're using a halfway soap for dishes. Is it a bar soap? Then it's a halfway soap because it doesn't have real speed. And if it's a tough granulated soap, it only goes halfway because it's short on safety for your hands. But you can remedy this halfway business in a hurry by changing to new Does. Yes, that amazing new kind of granulated soap for everything in your wash. And Does has everything for dishes, too, from whirlwind speed to greater kindness to your hands. Just notice how comfortably soft and smooth your hands feel after doing dishes with Does. Actually, it's far kinder to your hands than any of the 4 other leading granulated soaps. Yet no soap made whirls you through those dishes faster than Does. It cuts even tough grease without hard scouring. Honestly, you can tell how new and different Does is just by the suds. Try it today. Does has everything for dishes. This is Clayton Collier wishing you good day for Procter & Gamble, makers of Does, the new kind of granulated soap for all 3 kinds of wash.
The story you're about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to narcotics detail. You receive information that one of your city's most fashionable hotels is being used as the clearinghouse for high-grade heroin. Evidence points to a narcotics ring, the center of distribution. Your job, break it.
You'll be amazed when you compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
The size is the same. They now cost the same. But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima. They're extra mild, with a better flavor and aroma. Smoke Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima, best of all long cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, From crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, October 5th. It was foggy and rainy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Narcotics Division. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Kearney. My name's Friday. It was 8:47 a.m. when we got to 401 North Avenue 19, the main jail. Felony section.
Morning, fellas.
How are you today, Pete? Morning.
What brings you up here so early?
We want to see Monty Wilkins, booked in last night on narcotics. Booking number's 906351.
Okay, let me look.
Okay.
Here it is. He's in 103.
Thank you, Pete. I'll put it in the book here, Joe.
Okay.
Here's my gun. You want to check it with yours?
Yeah, right.
I'll put him away.
Okay, Pete.
Here's your check.
Thank you, Pete. All set, Ben?
906351.
That's it.
Okay, let's go.
All right.
Hi. We want to talk to Monty Wilkins. He's in 103.
All right, we'll get him.
Monty Wilkins, 103 for interview.
Friday, Ben?
Hi, Monty. Better move out of the way there. He wants to lock that door, Monty.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go around the corner to the interview room, Monty.
All right. Man, this is awful.
What's the matter? Don't you feel good?
I feel awful. Pretty sick.
You look bad. I'll get the light.
Okay, Ben. Sit down, Monty.
Okay. Thanks.
Well, it's been about a year and a half, hasn't it, Monty?
About that long, yeah.
We got you for possession that time, too, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right.
How long you been in the stuff this time?
Well, I guess I've been hooked bad about a month.
How much you shooting?
Oh, about 2 caps a day.
When you were picked up down in Slauson last night, you had 7 caps on you.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we checked with the crime lab. They've run the stuff. It's not the usual Mexican, is it?
That's right.
Do you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's not Mexican.
We know that, Monty. Where'd you get it?
Haven't had anything like that for a long time. Real good. Haven't been cut. Real fine. Maybe it's coming in from the East Coast. Can't get nothing like that from Mexico.
Now, look, Monty, we ran the stuff through the lab. We know it's high-grade heroin. We know all about it. Now, we want you to tell us where you've been getting it.
Well, you know how it is. You want to ask the impossible of me? My life wouldn't be worth a penny. You know how it is.
We handled you a year and a half ago, didn't we, Monty?
Yeah.
You're still around, aren't you?
Yeah, I did time, though.
Well, you knew that going in. You're going to do time this trip, too.
So don't shoot us that line, huh?
Well, you guys know how it is with us guys. I can't tell you anything.
No, it isn't that you can't. You just don't want to. Now, look, we didn't come up here to spend the time of day with you, Wilkins. This is the only time around. If you want to help us, you can help yourself at the same time. It's up to you.
You mean you can clear me on this? You can give me a break?
We didn't say that. We can't make any promises to you or give you any kind of a break. It's entirely up to you how you want us to put it down in our reports. Cooperative or uncooperative.
Well, okay. You squared with me last time.
You helped us last time. We made a case.
But I'm not going to be able to help you very much.
Where you been getting it?
Well, I've only made a couple of buys on that good stuff. I just got it from some old mule I just happened to meet down there. Seemed to be pretty well loaded with the stuff.
Where'd you meet him?
Oh, down near 5th and Spring somewhere.
What's his name?
I never did know his name. I just knew that he was pushing the stuff. Some old mule, that's all.
Who's he pushing it for?
Now, you know they never tell us guys where they're getting it. You know how they do.
Yeah.
I never did talk to him very much. I did hear him say once he was getting his stuff from a new bunch of guys from the East. Said they were really going to open up this town. The way he talked, they're no small-time operators. I got enough out of it to know they're working out of the Plaza Royal Hotel. Never figured that, would you?
Anything else? Any names mentioned?
Yeah, I remember this old mule mentioned a couple names. I think he talked about somebody named Kirk and another guy called Smith. Now, you understand, this guy was just talking. I don't know how they fit in or what the connections are.
Yeah, we understand. Where can we get a hold of this old mule?
Well, I don't know where he's at.
How do you get a hold of him when you want to make a buy?
I just run into him, that's all. Down around Spring Street. You know, just around. The last time I was down, I couldn't find it.
Is that all of it, Monty? All you can tell us?
Well, I don't know too much anyway. You know how it is. I couldn't tell you any more. That's all I know.
All right, let's get on to this 510 if that's all you got.
That's everything I got. Hope you fellas will write me up okay. I think I helped you quite a bit, haven't I? One of the best hotels in town, Plaza Royal. Never would have figured that, would you?
Maybe.
I've told you quite a lot. The rest ought to be easy.
No, you're wrong there, Monty.
Why?
You haven't told us the name of your mule. You haven't told us where we could find him. You haven't made it so easy.
That's all I have. I've told you a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot you didn't tell. We continued our interrogation of Monty Wilkins. He refused to divulge any further information. What he had told us, together with information already compiled, seemed to check out. For the past 7 months, we'd been trying to localize the operations of what had come to be regarded as a well-running distribution center for high-grade heroin. We knew of the existence of this distribution point through the various users that had been picked up almost daily. These users would have in their possession quantities of high-grade narcotics. Unlike the cheaper, lower-grade quality common in the southwest part of the country, this type of heroin was more common to the eastern section of the United States. We had believed the local distribution point to be somewhere in our metropolitan downtown area. The information gained from Monty Wilkins had strengthened this theory. 10:25 a.m. We met with Francis Kearney, captain of the Narcotics Division.
Plaza Royal Hotel, what do you think?
Well, we figured what we were looking for could be in that area, but we've never put our finger on that hotel.
How do you figure on working it?
Well, driving back from the jail, Ben and I were just kicking it around. Skipper, what do you think about putting a man in that hotel?
Anything's a great deal better than we're doing now, but I don't know.
Well, I'd like to give it a try.
You sure like a crack at it, Skipper?
You know how I feel about these kind of assignments. One man working inside, one outside. Brings the element of danger up kind of high.
Well, we know it's not going to be easy, but it looks like a good bet.
Sometimes these things are, sometimes they're not. You know what kind of a bunch they got to be. Been running their racket just about as smooth as it can be run. You know the kind of a risk a man would have to take if he tried to make contact with any of them.
Well, we think it's about the quickest way to get to them.
Well, maybe it might be worth it. You got any ideas how you'd like to work it?
There's just one thing. We haven't come to any decision who's going in and who isn't.
Well, I think I ought to be the one to work it from the inside of the hotel with Ben working outside as a contact.
I don't know why we can't just turn that around. Last time you had the rough end.
Joe, you just got back from your vacation about 3 weeks ago, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Didn't you stay down in Arizona? Phoenix, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know the town very well?
Oh, we've got some relatives down there, yeah.
If they started asking you any questions about Phoenix, you could fill them in, huh?
I think so.
That's probably the best way to settle it, Romero. Friday here will be in a better position knowing a little about Phoenix.
I don't see how you figured that way. I went on my vacation, too. Columbus, Ohio.
Well, because of the type of stuff that's been coming in, don't you think it'd be a little safer bet to have our men come from somewhere out this way rather than from the east?
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, you did it again, Joe. You beat me out.
All right, let's figure it this way. You're a local Phoenix hoodlum. Things got too hot for you down there, and you came up to L.A. to cool off.
Yeah.
How about Joe Edwards? How's that sound?
That sounds all right to me.
We'll get all the necessary cards, identification papers, and a few letters to carry around with you, all under the name Joe Edwards.
All right.
I think the best way to work it is for you to hop right down to Phoenix. When you get in town, check with Roberts. He's in narcotics down there.
Yeah, I know him.
Have Roberts fill you in on what's been going on down there. Any of their current characters they've handled recently. Any that have been known to pass through, you know, so you can talk about it freely.
Yeah, I understand.
Joe, when you check into the hotel down there, why don't you wire ahead up here to the Plaza Royal for reservations? Might be a good cover.
Yeah. Good thought. That's the way to handle it. You two have worked these things before. You know what to do, all the necessary precautions.
Well, how long do you figure out to lay over in Phoenix?
A couple days, maybe. Think that's long enough for you to get filled in, what you'll need?
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Well, I'll go home and get packed. I'll start on it first thing in the morning. Huh?
All right. Romero will stand by at all times, day and night, while you're on this thing. You know enough to call if things get tight.
Sure.
As soon as you get in from Phoenix and get located at the Plaza Royal, get in touch so we'll know which way to move.
Right. Anything else?
No, we want to break this thing, but we don't want to do it at the risk of a life. So if it starts getting warm, check out.
Okay.
I still don't like sending anybody on something like this, but it's got to be done. We don't know enough about it. We don't know how many are in the gang. We don't know what kind of a bunch they are, so be careful.
I will.
If you're not and I hear about it, this will be your last assignment like this.
Yeah.
If I don't hear about it, well, you figure it.
Yeah, either way, I lose. I went over to the photo room at the crime lab and picked up the identification papers that had been made out in the name of Joe Edwards. I went home and removed all Los Angeles labels from the clothing that I was to take with me to Phoenix, Arizona. I removed all my personal identification and Los Angeles Police Department credentials. I left my service revolver home and borrowed a .38 automatic from Ben. I packed it in my suitcase. The crime lab also furnished me with a package or a bindle made to resemble the usual form in which a person would carry heroin. I packed this in my suitcase. Before my departure, Ben and I went over the proposed plan as best we could. I was to arrive from Phoenix under the assumed name of Joe Edwards. I would register at the Plaza Royal Hotel in downtown Los Angeles and attempt to make arrangements to participate in a narcotics buy for the purpose of gaining sufficient evidence to apprehend the narcotics ring. I was to keep Ben informed as best I could of my progress. As outlined by Captain Kearney, I arrived in Phoenix and contacted Sergeant Roberts at the Detective Bureau down there. He furnished me with all the necessary information and assisted me in acquiring local Phoenix clothing store labels to have sewn in my clothing. I obtained everything possible to make it appear that I was a long-time resident of Phoenix, Arizona. Several dummy hotel bills were made up for me to make it look as if I'd lived there for a period of time. I was furnished with an Arizona driver's license, a membership in the local social club, and a voter's registration stub. These were all packed in my suitcase. October 9th, 10 a.m., I arrived at the Plaza Royal Hotel, the front desk.
Yes, sir?
My name's Edwards. I'm in from Phoenix. Did you get my wire?
One moment, sir. Yes, sir. Joe Edwards?
Yeah, that's right.
Would you sign the register, please?
Yeah, all right.
Thank you. Bart?
Yes, sir.
Would you show this gentleman to room 211, please?
Yes, sir. This way, please.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you.
2, please. Not very nice weather to arrive in Los Angeles, is it, sir?
No, not too good.
I see by the stickers on your bag you've been through Arizona.
Yeah, that's right.
Must be nice weather down there, huh?
Yeah, it's all right.
This way, sir.
Thank you.
Let me open a window for you, sir. A little fresh air in here.
All right. Okay. Thanks. Here you go.
Thank you very much, sir. Help you with your bags?
Yeah, all right.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Something dropped out on the floor here.
You better let me have that.
Sorry. Very sorry that happened.
That's all right.
Mr. Edwards, while you're in town here, if there's anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to let me know.
Yeah, okay.
I couldn't help but notice that little package there that I dropped.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, I know my way around here in this town. If you need anything, anything at all, sir.
I'll tell you what. Now, here's $5. You never saw anything fall out of my bag there, right?
Anything you say, sir.
Okay. Thanks a lot. See you later, huh?
Yes, sir. Anything else, sir?
No, that'll be all.
You'll remember what I told you, sir?
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing to you. I couldn't be sure, but it looked like I'd been lucky right from the start. The bellboy at the Plaza Royal Hotel. I didn't know if I could consider this an opening contact or not, but he seemed to show more than a passing interest in the bindle of narcotics that he had seen fall from my suitcase. I didn't feel it was the right time to press the issue any further with the bellhop, but I figured I'd wait and leave the next move up to whoever he might have been working for. During the next 3 days, nothing happened. I tried, without appearing to be too bold, to arouse some interest, but without success. October 13th, my 5th day at the Plaza Royal Hotel, 6 p.m. I went in the bar off the main lobby.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah.
Kirk Harding's my name. I noticed you here in the bar the last couple of nights. You up here to buy a little, or are you selling?
I don't believe I follow you, Harding.
Look, boy, we've had you tabbed since that first day you hit town, October 9th. We haven't been out here too long ourselves. We're in business, too. Same business you're in.
I don't know what kind of business you think I'm in, but you got it figured wrong, mister.
You know, this entire matter'd work out much better for you in the long run if you'd level with me. You're just going to make it tough on yourself this way, but...
Well, I'm sorry. You lost me way back somewhere.
All right, let's do it the hard way. You're up here from Phoenix. We know you've got some stuff with you. We know you're not a user. You're a member of the social club down there. You're a registered voter.
Well, you've been working real hard, haven't you?
Well, there's more. You got 2 pieces of luggage. You're carrying a .38 automatic.
Any more?
Yeah. There's a telegram from a friend of mine down in Phoenix.
Yeah?
We know all about you, mister.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic cases from official police files. Now, let's look at our Fatima files.
Listed under L. Lovett. Vice Admiral Leland P. Lovett, United States Navy retired. He says,
I smoked Fatimas when I was a midshipman. I still do, because they have a better flavor and aroma. Fatima is easily the best of all long cigarettes.
Friends, more smokers now insist on king-size Fatimas than ever before. Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild, superbly blended, to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, clean, gold and yellow package, carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So, if you smoke a king-size cigarette, compare Fatima.
You'll find they now cost the same. But your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima. Smoke the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima. Best of all long cigarettes.
It was a tight moment as Kirk Harding fingered the telegram in the bar of the Plaza Royal Hotel. I'd spent many hours in consultation with Sergeant Roberts in Phoenix, Arizona, before undertaking this assignment. I felt sure that we hadn't overlooked anything that might lead to my true identity. Kirk Harding read the wire to me. It was from a man by the name of George Ferguson. He'd done some legwork for Harding and had not been able to furnish him with anything other than what had been found out in going over my room. I knew I'd found the contact that I was looking for. I told him that I was in the business of buying narcotics, that I was in Los Angeles for the purpose of making a prearranged narcotics buy with agents dealing in Mexican stuff. Harding immediately gave me a strong sales pitch, saying that he could furnish me with high-grade heroin fresh from the European market in quantity. At the end of the first week, I was introduced to Kirk Harding's 2 associates, another man called Smith, full name Horace L. Smith, and a woman by the name of Lucille Cosgrove. Ben had been unable to find records on any of the 3. For the next 3 weeks, we became more friendly. We went places together, spent a great deal of time together. Monday, November 15th.
Well, we've had a lot of fun the last few weeks, haven't we?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, but I got to be getting back to Phoenix.
Well, now, don't get eager, Joe. You know how cagey you were. You made us wait. Preliminaries are over. This is the big buy for you or anybody else.
Yeah, I know all that, but when?
Just be patient. You'll have something to really set yourself up with down there.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me, Joe.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, hi, Lucille.
Hi.
Hi, sweetie.
Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Lucille. What's the matter, Smith? Don't you feel good?
I don't know. It's hotel food, I guess. I think I got an ulcer. My stomach's sore all the time.
Oh, that's too bad.
I don't know what it could be. Baking soda don't do any good anymore.
How about a drink? Joe?
Yeah, fine with me.
Lucille, you want to get some ice out of the kitchen, please?
Sure.
Skip me.
Smith, you ought to go see a doctor. You don't know for sure what's wrong with you. You might make it worse.
If I don't know what it is, how could a doctor?
I don't know. It works for everybody else. Might for you.
Hey, I can't get this ice tray out. Joe, would you give me a hand, please?
Yeah, sure. Okay, which one here?
I got the ice. Keep working on that other tray there. It's something to tell you.
Okay.
Listen, Joe, big buys tonight.
You sure?
Yeah.
How about it, you two? You need any help?
No, that's all right, Kirk. It's come along fine.
Joe, as soon as you show your money tonight, they're going to kill you.
How do you know?
Look, we don't have time to go into it. I know. You won't have a chance. They're going to kill you.
What are you doing? Waiting for him to freeze? Come on, how about the ice cream?
Oh, they're right here, Kirk. I'm sorry.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you want? Lucille? Joe?
Coke High's all right.
Yeah?
I'll make mine bourbon, a little water.
All right. Smith, you sure you don't want one?
No, can't do it.
Joe, before I mix them, I got something for you.
Yeah?
Smith tells me tonight's the night.
Well, that's good, but why didn't you tell me a little ahead of time? I got a date for tonight.
Well, I think you better break that one and keep this one, don't you?
Well, yeah, I do, but just wish you'd have told me a little sooner.
Well, there's the phone. You can take care of it.
Is it all right with you?
You know as much about this business as we do. Go ahead and use it as long as we can hear you.
Okay, fine. Just take a minute.
Want to sit here, Joe?
Oh, thanks, Smith. Yeah. Say, I wonder if you get my drink for me over there?
Sure.
She's probably going to be upset. I may need it, huh? Hi, honey. This is Joe.
Oh, yeah, Joe.
I'm sorry I won't be able to make it tonight, dear.
You can't talk, huh?
That's right, dear. No, I just can't get out of it.
I'll do the talking, Joe. Is it by tonight?
Yeah, well, it just came up all of a sudden.
Where do you know?
No, darling, I can't tell you where I'm going. You couldn't go along anyway.
Okay, we'll be with you 5 minutes from now all the way. Where are you now, at the hotel?
Well, that's the way it is, and I can't help it, that's all. Maybe we can get together later, huh?
We'll use one car, Joe. We'll stick as close as we can to you. One car ought to be safe, huh?
Well, that's better, honey. Now, that's the way I like to hear you talk. I'm sorry. And I'll see you later, huh?
We'll be with you.
Okay, dear.
Well, she still love you?
Yeah, she loves me. 15 minutes after I hung up, we went downstairs and got into a green Chrysler sedan. It was parked out in front of the hotel. I looked around. I didn't see Ben or any of our cars in sight. Smith drove, and Kirk and I got in the back seat. The woman, Lucille Cosgrove, remained at the hotel. I didn't know which of the two men was planning to kill me, but I felt sure Lucille Cosgrove told me the truth. Her information on the buy was right, and maybe this other was correct as well. We drove out Figueroa Street for about 16 miles. At this point, it became evident we were heading for the Los Angeles Harbor area.
You ever see a fog as thick as this, Joe?
No, I never have.
Can't see 50 feet in front of me.
Yeah, well, just take it easy. Nobody's in a hurry.
That's right. Don't want to pile up anywhere.
Where are we going?
We're almost there.
This your car here? I've never seen this one before.
No, we rented it. Isn't that the way you operate?
Yeah, that's right. I just wondered if you played it as safe as I do.
We do.
I'm going to swing in this next alley up here, Kirk.
Somebody tailing us? Kill your lights.
Right. See anything out the back window?
Wait a minute. How'd they go?
How'd it look?
Two guys in the front seat. Could have been somebody. What do you think, Joe? How'd it look to you?
Well, whoever it was, we lost him anyway.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Look at that. Clear spot here in the fog. Don't see a soul anywhere.
That's fine.
We almost there now?
Yeah, just around the corner. This is a break, isn't it? Fog's clear right in here. All socked in back up there. Well, we're as safe as you'd want to be, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
This is it.
Over by the storage building?
Yeah, that's right. Come on, let's go. Over this way, Joe.
What's over there in that building?
We're not going inside, just over there in that alcove.
All right, this is it, Joe. Let's see the money.
Oh, wait till I see the stuff, huh?
You don't trust anybody, do you?
What are you trying to prove?
Well, I didn't like what he said.
You're not going to like what I got to say either. Freeze, mister.
Stop it, you!
Watch it, Ben! He ducked in this alcove.
Yeah.
Oh, take care of that one there.
All right, easy, huh?
Yeah, you see him?
No, it's too dark. There he is.
That's enough! I'm coming on!
All right, throw your gun out ahead of you.
He's not going to throw that gun out, Joe. Watch it.
Come on. There's his gun.
Yeah, I got it.
You want to shake him down?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
On your feet. Where'd you get hit?
My shoulder.
Let me see. You're all right. Just grazed you.
You're a cop, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. Now, come on, let's go.
Where's the stuff?
Oh, the back seat in my car. Now, you tell me something. Why'd you slug Smith?
I just wanted something I knew you'd never give me.
What's that?
An even chance.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 4th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 81, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, let's compare Fatima with any other long cigarette. Now, Fatimas are the same length, 85 millimeters. Fatima has the same circumference, 1 1/64 inches around. And Fatima filters the smoke exactly the same long distance as other king-size cigarettes. But in Fatima, the difference is quality. You get extra mildness, a different, much better flavor and aroma. That's right. Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has. Tomorrow, buy Fatima.
All three suspects, Kirk Arthur Harding, Horace L. Smith, and Lucille Marie Cosgrove, were convicted for violation of the State Narcotics Act, a felony. Harding and Smith were convicted on one count of attempt to commit murder. They are now serving their terms as prescribed by law in the state penitentiaries. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over most NBC stations.
I get 10 a day in expenses from a detective bureau run by a guy named Anthony J. Lyon. They call me the Lion's Eye.
With Jack Webb as Jeff Regan, the Lion's Eye, stand by for hard-boiled action and mystery and thrilling adventure in tonight's story of the man who fought back.
There's a street crammed in between Wilton and Van Ness and Hollywood called Taft Avenue. It's a couple of blocks long, and it only got there because the city planners had a few tons of cement left over from the Coliseum. On the corner, there's a gray building poking its way up through a crack in the pavement. That's where I live. Apartment K. 2 rooms with a connecting door to a broom closet. Oh, the place isn't much. A couple of chairs, a bed that comes out of the wall, and a mattress that could pass itself off as a relief map of the High Sierras. Well, that's where I was the other night around 11 trying to catch some sleep. That's when my phone began making an impression. Turned out to be the Lion.
Hey, Regan, I'm glad I found your home. Are you alone?
What's the matter? Did you lose your voice?
Just a precaution. I got a hold of a good thing, and I don't want to lose it by indiscreet talk.
Well, then write me a letter.
We've just been hired. You start tonight.
It'll keep till morning.
Her name's Alice Lafarge. She can meet you in a bar called the Princess across the street from Pershing Square. Get going.
What's her trouble?
She'll tell you all about it when you get there.
Can't you tell me?
I haven't got the time right now, but there's nothing to it. I'd handle it myself if I didn't have a big deal on.
Flirting with widows in Pasadena, huh?
So I got a social engagement. It helps our business. Pays to be seen in high society.
And besides, the liquor's good.
You just get over to see the Lafarge dame. And give me a ring in the morning and let me know how you make out.
All right, lover.
Hey, Regan.
Huh?
What should I take to my Pasadena girlfriend? Flowers or candy?
You better take both. You're going to need all the help you can get. I threw on some clothes and I headed for town. My car found a parking lot off Olive, and I cut through Pershing Square to make it over to Hill. It was after midnight. A sailor was chasing a bow-legged Marine over the grass. He brought him down on about the 40-yard line. The Princess Bar showed up near the corner of 6th, a little place holding up 6 stories of granite. I went inside. A mustache was trying real hard on a piano. 200 pounds of bartender was moving a wet rag over the bar in slow motion. A girl was sitting on the far stool in a black purse with the initials ALF. Alice Lafarge. If you looked real hard, you could find her eyes. I gave up on her lips. I lowered myself onto the stool next to her. She looked tired, like a chorus girl on a Sunday morning.
Yes?
I'm Regan, international detective.
How do I know?
You will when you get the bill.
You're late, Mr. Regan.
Well, I didn't pick up any traffic tickets, if that's what you wanted.
Well, it doesn't matter. We have a few minutes yet.
What are we waiting for?
12:30. Can I buy you a drink, Mr. Regan?
You're calling it.
Bartender?
What'll it be, miss?
I'm not drinking. Serve the gentleman.
Scotch?
Bourbon and water.
Got some pretty tasty scotch, buddy.
Bourbon.
Just trying. I get a commission on the scotch.
All right, lady, now let's have it.
You live far from here, Mr. Regan?
About 20 minutes.
Well, you better run home and throw a change of clothes into a suitcase.
Out-of-town job?
No, but you'll need a change. Bring along a deck of cards and a thick book.
Anything else?
Call off any dates you may have. You're going to be out of circulation for the weekend. Here's an address at the hotel on North Figueroa. Get there as soon as you can.
You still haven't said anything. What's the job?
You'll find out when you get there.
I'll get tired of waiting. Come on, lady, let's open it up.
Hey, buddy, scotch. Hey, you leaving us, miss? Next one's free.
Thanks, anyway.
Okay.
I'll look beat at you and take that scotch with you.
Okay. Drink it myself. I still get the commission.
All right, now come on, sis. Let's have the rest of it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Regan. That's all I can tell you now. Just be at that address as soon as you can.
As she slid off the stool and moved for the front door, I caught a view of her in the mirror. There was nothing there to make a guy want an encore. Sandy hair, short, thin body that you could have slipped into a mailbox. Well, she threw the door shut behind her. A couple of seconds ticked by, and I moved out after her. I made the street just in time to see her climb into a cab and start up 6th. That's when I spotted the red Austin with an Illinois license. With a Glen plaid sleeve sticking out of the left side, and that's all I got of the driver, except that he was doing a real bad tag job on the Lafarge girl. The North Figueroa address Alice Lafarge gave me turned out to be the Gladstone Hotel. A 2-layer pile of wood so old that the termites were getting indigested. A short guy with a shiny head was catching up on his reading in the lobby. He put down the seat catalog long enough to tell me that apartment 3B was upstairs in the back. A couple of knocks on the door, and Alice let me in. Sitting in the corner was a bush of gray hair and a white face. Turned out to be a man with a worried look, like an alligator in a handbag factory.
Shut the door, Alice.
Yes, Dad.
Thanks for coming, Regan.
I'll let you know later if you're welcome.
Take his things, Alice.
No, I'm going to hang on to him for a while.
Suit yourself, but your coat will get heavy in a few hours.
What says I'm going to stay that long?
Me? That's what you're hired for.
What else?
Well, that's the time to get to that. Let's get to know each other first.
You got a name?
I'm Bill Lafarge. Sort of fancy, but I like it.
Give me some more.
Not much more. Just an old joker with nothing left but a few years and a regular dud.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Regan, this isn't my real address. I just moved here.
Yeah, the rent's low.
That's not it. Bill Lafarge can handle more.
All right, you can skip the bank statement, mister.
Will you please try to be civil, Mr. Regan?
That's not what you hired me for.
It's okay, Alice. Can't say I blame him.
All right, then. Let's throw it in gear, huh?
Not much to your job, Regan. Just spend a weekend with me.
I've had better offers.
Yeah, I did too in my time. Well, it's the easy part of it.
You got something hard?
You stay awake the next 48 hours and keep looking at me.
Who's after you?
Nobody.
I figure different.
You could be wrong.
Shades down, lights out, Red Austin on a tag job.
What do you mean?
Plaid suit moved out after you when you left the Princess.
You sure you was following Alice?
Like you said, I could be wrong.
Get one thing straight, Regan. I never hire anybody to protect me. Bill Lafarge handles things like that himself. You're here as a witness.
What for?
Just in case somebody wants some testifying as to how I spent this weekend. All right. Now throw off your coat. Let's play a little cards.
Why not?
Alice, open the window. It's getting a little hot in here.
All right, Dad.
Big, gin money?
You're dealing.
How high do you want to play? 2 bits if you...
Shots came flying in from the alley and didn't stop until they caught Alice Lafarge. They blew her back into the room, and she did a full turn like a ballet dancer showing off. By the time her father and I got to her, it was all over. The old man straightened up and began mumbling something about Red Austin. I stepped for the phone. I put in a call to Sanducci at Homicide. He took down the story and promised to send out some company. And then I cradled the phone. That's when I knew I was alone with the girl. Old man Lafarge had hot-footed it out of the building like a super chief on a holiday weekend. Well, the boys from Homicide showed in a couple of minutes, and they had a few questions. I gave them what I had, and Sanducci tabled the rest until the next day. So I went home to relax. You know, the Lion could have made a good detective. He always finds me.
Regan, I'm not paying you to sit at home. Get your coat on and explain this.
What?
This newspaper story. There's a big lie in here about the Lafarge dame getting killed. Now, I know you wouldn't allow that to happen to one of our clients.
It was real hard, but I managed.
I give you a simple little job and you turn it into a murder. You getting a commission from Forest Lawn?
You got your hands full, too.
What do you mean?
Sanducci will be visiting you with a pocket full of questions.
I don't know nothing about a shooting. I was out in Pasadena all night playing a guitar, and I got a sore finger to prove it.
Now, you listen to me, Big Shot. You better start sniffing around and turn up a Red Austin with a plaid suit behind the wheel.
What else?
Get some information on Bill Lafarge, the girl's father.
Hey, what's that?
You know, I bet if we open it, we'll find out.
Well, I better get a move on. Just open the door a little bit, and I'll squeeze by.
Yeah.
Hello, Lieutenant. Nice to see you, Sanducci.
Where's he going?
Get in line for Notre Dame tickets. Why did you take up knocking, Sanducci, huh?
New directive went through the department. Show a little more courtesy.
You don't wear it well.
I figure it's political. They're working on building up a gate for the next policeman's show.
Gotta put you on. You're worth a couple of laughs.
Yeah. I'll speak to the boys. How did you sleep last night, Regan?
Fine.
You shouldn't have. That murder should have given you nightmares.
There's always Ovaltine.
You know, some of the boys down at headquarters figure you know more about this shooting than you're saying.
Well, they made mistakes before.
No, I'm not saying. I feel like they do.
What do you want?
Who knocked off the Lafarge girl?
You're asking yourself.
Wrong answer.
How would you know?
She got it with a .45. What do you want?
You know what I own.
But I don't know about Lafarge.
The shot came in through the window. Even you can figure that.
He could have had help.
Talk to him.
I will when we pick him up. In the meantime, it's you and me.
You got nothing on me.
We found a roll of dough in a briefcase in the bottom bureau drawer. What was it doing there?
I don't know.
All right, Regan. Now let me give you a tip. The word's out Lafarge got a private war on. I don't want any more shooting, so I look at it this way. He's your client. I'm holding you responsible. And Regan.
Yeah?
Da devo essere mangiato i soldi a tutto il paese, che sei un brutaliere stupido.
What's that mean?
Go find out. You're a detective.
Well, I don't suppose I'll ever find out. He slid out of the room, and I washed up and had a short breakfast at the corner drugstore and went through the morning paper. The Lafarge murder rated a lot of big type, and it was a picture of Alice right next to the weather report, slightly cooler. After the bottom showed my coffee cup, I went over to the Hollywood Library. The city directory gave William Lafarge an Orange Drive home address and occupation printer. The yellow phone book turned up a Lafarge Preston print shop on Santa Monica near La Brea. It was a small place, the color of stale peanut butter, and it was tucked in between a pet store and a beauty parlor. When I stepped inside the front door, the bell rang, and a couple of pair of tortoise shell glasses covering a couple of deep blue eyes looked at me. She was a brunette with light skin and a voice that sounded like it was diving for sponges. The print shop smell got lost in all that taboo.
Morning, sir. Can I help you?
I'm looking for Mr. Lafarge.
There's no Mr. Lafarge here.
Sign outside says there is.
It's an old one. Won't I do one thing?
Now, that's another chapter.
Come turn the page. I think you'd enjoy it.
You know, you ought to put out cards.
Mr. Preston says business has picked up immeasurably since I started working here.
Let's get back to Lafarge.
I told you he's not here.
Well, try Preston for me.
He's very busy.
They can spare a couple of words.
Now, wait a minute.
Look,
You can't go in there. I'm sorry, Mr. Preston. I told him you were very busy.
All right, Lois. Who are you? My name's Regan. I'm with International Detective. I got some questions about your partner.
Of course. Please leave us, Lois.
See you later, soldier.
Cigar, Mr. Regan?
No, I won't be here that long.
And naturally, I'll be only too happy to tell you anything I can. It was such a shock reading about his poor daughter's death. A wonderful girl.
Lafarge said that.
Yeah, you'd say it, too, if you knew her. She was very good to him. Well, Mr. Regan, what specifically can I tell you?
The book calls this place Lafarge Preston. Somebody's missing.
Well, you see, Bill and I were in partnership for years. When he decided to pull out, I just planned to leave the name the same.
When did he go?
Just a few weeks ago.
They give a reason?
I don't know exactly. Implied he had enough money or was coming into some. I'm not sure. But it happened so sudden, left me a little short-handed. Still having trouble finding a first-class engraver to take his place.
I left him sitting there chewing a panatella, and I moved out fast like a sailor on shore leave. It was about 11 and getting warmer. I picked up my car and went home. It took me 10 minutes to track down Sanducci.
Yeah?
Regan.
What do you want me for? Fix a traffic ticket?
Look, I got something for you.
Make it good.
I've been talking with Preston down at the print shop.
Yeah?
Lafarge stepped out kind of fast carrying a roll.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look, he knew engraving. I figure you ought to take a good look at that money. It may turn up phony.
I'm not impressed.
All right, I gave it to you. Do what you want.
Look, we checked into the dough already. It's absolutely legit. Now give up, Regan.
Navy didn't.
Hello, Regan. She turn you down?
Who let you in?
Stranger in town. Just catching a sight.
Well, they're better outside.
Ease off, Regan. You don't know who you're talking to.
Well, the name's a blank, but you drive a red Austin.
Yeah, it's not bad for a beginner. You got a drink around?
Not for you, no.
If I were you, I'd show a little hospitality to an out-of-town boy.
Chicago. South Side, huh?
You're not being very nice.
You weren't invited.
But now that I'm here, that changes some things, huh?
What do you want?
A drink.
No sale.
Listen, fresh.
Get your hands off me, punk.
I'll go get 6. 45 always starts him.
Like it did Lafarge.
How about getting old Gus a drink, huh? Least thing it will do is skip the water. You better fix one for yourself.
No, you're the type that drinks alone.
Oh, you better have one, Regan. It's going to be your last.
How do you figure?
Well, I look at it this way. A guy like me gets hired to do a job. Comes 2,000 miles for it, then pulls a boner.
Like knocking off the daughter instead of Lafarge, huh?
Yeah, that's it. Top that off with a witness sitting in the same room who spots my red Austin. Now, let me ask you something. Can I leave him around breathing good air? According to me, no.
Knees knocked together and he caved in like arches on a fat man. 4 quick steps took me to the door and I looked down the hall. Nothing there. So I made it for the stairway and I looked down the spiral. An old guy was taking the steps 2 at a time and stuffing a gun into his overcoat pocket. It was Bill Lafarge.
You were listening to the story of the man who fought back. Tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Commissions are still available in the Army Nurse Corps. Graduate registered nurses between the ages of 21 and 45 may qualify for service with this fine organization. Nurses may request active or inactive status. Those on active status enjoy the same privileges as regular Army officers. Those on inactive status may continue their civilian nursing duties, but stand ready to serve in time of emergency. If you are interested in joining the Army Nurse Corps and believe that you qualify for a commission, apply to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. And now, back to the story of the man who fought back and Jeff Regan, Investigator.
moving kind of fast. The Lion sent me out to meet a girl named Alice Lafarge. She took me to her father, who wanted a bonded witness to be able to testify to his whereabouts that weekend. That's when a couple of shots came through the window and cut down the daughter. Before homicide put in an appearance, Bill Lafarge was gone, and he didn't show again until Gus killed Alice and then came to see me. And then there was a big roll of money and a print shop in the picture, but it was all out of focus. Well, I moved back into my apartment. The Chicago hood was still there, lying on my rug, and I picked up the phone to call Lieutenant Sanducci. I'd just gotten a couple of numbers out when I caught a familiar smell. It was a load of taboo, and it was packing a .32.
Put the phone down, Regan.
Why?
Because I'm asking you nicely. Put it down. Homicide can wait. Gus isn't going anyplace.
You got a plan, lady?
Mm-hmm.
Well, get back to that print shop and you'll stay out of trouble.
Mr. Preston's so nice. He gave me the afternoon off. I told him my mother got sick.
All right, lady. Tell me about it.
I'm looking for something.
Name it.
The ignition key to Gus's Austin. Now move over there and get it for me.
What's wrong with your car?
I ran out of gas. Move.
Okay.
Take his gun away. Now try the overcoat pockets. Throw him.
All right. Good catch.
So they tell me. So long, Regan.
I put in a quick call to homicide, and then I waited a couple of minutes to give her a chance to get a head start. When I stepped out of the building, the red Austin was just turning a corner. I followed in my car. We wound up in Glendale. She pulled into a duplex driveway next to an empty lot, and I pulled in under a pepper tree up the street a ways. And then she got out and unlocked the trunk. She looked inside, ripped up the floor matting and then the boards. When she slammed the trunk shut, it figured that she didn't find what she was looking for. Well, 25 minutes later, I found the Lion sitting behind his desk down at the office. He had a bottle of beer in one hand and a package of Sen-Sen in the other. Spread out in front of him was a typewritten piece of paper that he'd just slipped out of his Remington. He had a puzzled look, like a little boy caught in a mixmaster.
Regan, where you been?
Around.
I've been looking all over for you. Sanducci's been calling in every 3 minutes.
What's he want?
The story on how Gus got laid out in your apartment.
Well, I'll drop him a note.
He wants it now.
He's got time. He doesn't come up for a pension for years. They turned up Lafarge yet?
No, but I turned up something. What would you say if I told you Lafarge did time once?
On a counterfeit rap?
How'd you know?
It figured. That Lois dame is scratching around for something.
The feds put him away for 10 years for making up some phony bonds or stocks or something like that.
Uh-huh. How's his daughter fit?
She waited for him till he got out and then tried to help him play it straight.
What'd you get on Gus?
Who cares about him?
Lois.
Lafarge wasn't in on that bond job alone.
Who else?
He had a partner, the guy who runs the print shop, Preston.
Oh, you're doing better.
I figure it this way. Preston's got a new racket, and J. Edgar would be real happy to know all about it.
Yeah.
We're going to be the ones to tell him.
How much is the reward?
I don't even know if there is one.
Oh, stop it. When gold went up to $35 an ounce, you pulled your mother's teeth.
Regan, you're getting out of line.
And then you bawled her out for not having more cavities.
Now, you get over to Preston and have a talk with him.
Yeah.
Regan.
Yeah.
Remember, if we crack this thing, it'll mean more money in your pocket, too.
No room for it with your hand there already. I left him sitting there doodling dollar signs, and I went out into the street. It was turning evening. I picked my car out of the lot, and 30 minutes later, I stopped on the corner of Santa Monica and La Brea. The fog was rolling in by then, and the streetlights were trying real hard. I walked to the front door of the print shop. I shook it a little, but nothing gave, so I moved around to the back. The place inside was as dark as a saloon in Kansas, but somebody inside was handy with a gun. So I cracked the window with a rock, and I climbed inside. It smelled like target practice on a rifle range. Preston was curled up on the floor like a piece of wet tissue paper, and there were 2 holes in him. Well, the game wasn't over, but they were running out of players. I moved to the phone to call the police, and that's when I spotted Bill Lafarge. He was slumped down in a chair with a gun in his hand, and he looked tired. It took a lot of shaking to bring any words out of him. Hey, come on, Lafarge. Hey.
Not shaking. I'm up. He dead?
Yeah?
Yeah, he was a bum.
You want to give me that gun?
Sure. You got a call into the cops?
No, not yet.
We'll use my car.
Any way you want it.
It don't matter much no more. Things go easy for some guys. Other guys get all the rocks.
You got a couple of answers?
Why not? Preston did a tie-in with a gambling syndicate out of Las Vegas. Some joker had a hot idea.
Keep going.
Counterfeit 20,000 New Year's Day bowl tickets and sell them on the open market at $5 plus.
That's big business at 100,000.
But I didn't take. Preston got sore because I wouldn't do the engraving and he got somebody else.
That doesn't add up to murder.
Yeah. Did when his head got working overtime worry and I had too many answers.
And he hired that Chicago boy with the bad eyes.
Yeah. He got my daughter by mistake.
Where are the bowl tickets?
Who cares?
How does Lois fit?
I don't know.
All right.
Front door is closer to my car. You drive, Regan. The traffic makes me nervous.
Well, Lafarge was driving a Nash, and it was parked at a filling station. We fought the night traffic downtown to police headquarters and tore Sanducci away from his pinochle game. He sent a couple of boys out to clean up the print shop and then moved Lafarge into a room with a secretary to get the story on paper. I'd heard it before, so I started for home, but Sanducci had other ideas. He put me in a private little room with white walls, and he told me to wait. I thought maybe he'd gone on his vacation, but he finally came in.
Yeah, getting tired of waiting, Regan?
Do you care?
No.
You got something to say?
Maybe.
Well, then spit it out, because I got a date.
It'll keep.
Why are you holding me?
I had to do some checking.
You got all you need?
I didn't think so.
Well, you got it now.
Get still, Regan. I'm not ready to let you go.
Now, listen, Power. Just because you're wearing a badge inside that coat...
Shut up and listen to me. It took me 18 years to turn in those overstuffed shoes for thin soles. I'm not letting a two-bit detective tell me how to handle my business.
You could stand it.
You and that crummy boss of yours are licensed by the state of California, and we can lift it for acts detrimental to public welfare. We got a whole bladder full.
Tell that to the lion.
I'm telling it to you. And that's all. Beat it.
Okay.
Oh, Regan.
Yeah?
One thing more. There's a big hole in Lafarge's story.
What do you mean?
Look at his gun.
Well, what about it?
Look at the caliber.
It's a 38.
That's not the weapon that killed Gus and Preston. You sure you don't own a 32?
Well, Lafarge was more used up than he figured. He couldn't tell where the dream left off and the murders began. Oh, the whole thing was a screwy picture, but the artist had a woman's touch. 25 minutes later, I pulled my car to a stop in front of a lemon-colored duplex out in Glendale. A high school boy, breathing hard, told me that the good-looking girl lived upstairs. I just hit the top of the landing when the door of her apartment opened and a couple of pieces of airplane luggage moved out. Her ticket didn't show, but it figured to be marked for Las Vegas. When Lois saw me, she looked kind of confused, like a penguin in Death Valley.
Regan.
Hey, your memory's good.
I wish you'd told me you were coming. I was dressed for it.
Oh, it's better this way. You're fixed for traveling.
What do you mean?
We talk about it inside, huh?
I'd like to. You know that, but I have a few things...
Come on, move it, lady.
Well, what's come over you?
What's inside the suitcase?
You can work that out yourself, Regan. You've been by a woman's shop.
Throw it open.
It'll embarrass you.
I'll take a chance. All right, now dump it over. Come on, sis, your time's running out. Oh, yeah, sure.
Preston had the tickets in an asbestos box hidden in the furnace. I finally turned them up. Regan, they're worth over $100,000.
Yeah, that's what Lafarge said.
I know where to unload them.
It won't do you any good.
What do you mean?
There's no PX at the hatchet. Come on, don't scramble for that 32. It's out of reach.
Let go of me.
You threw those holes into Gus and Preston, figuring homicide would stick Lafarge with a rap, knowing he was out for revenge.
Let me go.
Even the old guy didn't know what was going on.
No, he didn't.
No, but ballistics did.
Regan.
Yeah.
This could mean a lot of dough to us, you and me. We form a partnership.
Yeah, before it's getting damp.
Don't be a piker. Here's your chance to really turn into something.
Well, now you can check with me when you get out, lady, to see if I made it. Well, it all blew apart fast like an atom at Caltech. Sanducci came down and picked up Lois. She had herself a pretty good thing for a while. Preston could run off the phony bowl tickets, and all she had to do was to sell them. Even though murder got thrown in, she could have stayed clean if she hadn't got her gun calibers mixed. Well, Lafarge was walking the streets in a couple of hours, and the Lion was real happy the way things worked out. He got his picture in the Police Gazette and picked up 2 bona fide passes to the Rose Bowl game. He promised to take me to the game with him. He did. He let me have the ticket at the regular price.
Jack Webb is featured as Jeff Regan with Herb Butterfield as Anthony J. Lyon. It's CBS at the same time next week for more hard-boiled action and mystery with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Written by Larry Roman, produced by Sterling Tracy. Alice was played by Lorette Bilbrandt. Charles Steele was Preston. Ken Christie was Lafarge. Jack Petruzzi was Sanducci. Yvonne Patey was Lois. And Sidney Miller was Gus. 29,000 nurses are needed now to join the new Army Nurse Corps Officers Reserve. For the first time in history, qualified nurses have the opportunity of receiving commissions in the regular Army Reserve. These nurses will remain on inactive status, ready to serve their country in time of emergency. 4,000 of them, if they wish, may choose active duty. All nurses who receive commissions will benefit from the opportunity for specialized training offered to them by the Army. Inactive reserve status will not interfere with the nurse's civilian life, but the educational opportunities offered her by the Army Medical Department will be of great advantage in her work. So don't wait. If you're a registered graduate nurse between the ages of 21 and 45, drop a card for complete information to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. Original music for this program is by Milton Charles. Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The story you're about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to missing persons detail. A 10-year-old boy disappears from his home in a remote section of the city. 2 nights and 2 days pass. There's not a trace of the boy. Your job, find him.
Friends, compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette. You'll find a world of difference. Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties. Extra mild, superbly blended. To give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality. Even to the appearance of the bright, clean, gold and yellow package. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So compare Fatima yourself today.
You'll find Fatima's now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you,
ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, August 4th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Juvenile Bureau. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Inspector Bowling. My name's Friday. We were on the way out from the office, and it was 2:25 p.m. when we got to Bowers Avenue, number 1218.
Yes.
Police officers, ma'am, would like to see Mr. Sherman.
Oh, certainly. Officers, won't you come in?
Thank you very much.
I'm Mrs. Keller from next door. I saw you around here yesterday.
Yes, ma'am.
Came over this morning to look after poor Mr. Sherman.
Yes, ma'am. Well, how's he feeling today?
Not too well. Fixed him some nice chicken broth for lunch, and then I helped him in his wheelchair and took him out in the backyard out in the sun. Good hot sun. It's wonderful for his legs. He has arthritis, you know.
Yes, so we understand. Wonder if we could talk to him, Miss Keller.
Well, yes, I guess you have to. He's still out in the back sleeping in his chair last time I looked. Seemed ashamed to disturb him.
Well, he called us at the office, said he wanted to see us as soon as we could make it out here.
Was it about his grandson, Jimmy? They found him yet?
No, ma'am. Searching party's combing the area. There's still no trace of the boy.
Did any of the other officers who were out here covering the neighborhood talk to you, Miss Keller?
Oh, yes. There was Mr. Lorman, Detective Lorman.
Yes, ma'am.
I told him everything I knew about Jimmy's disappearance. It was right after dinner hour on Monday. It's about 6:30 last time I saw Jimmy.
I see.
I came out the side door to empty the garbage, and I saw Jimmy hiking up the side of the hill there, just in back of the house, all by himself. A nice boy.
As far as you know, Mrs. Keller, Jimmy is Mr. Sherman's only living relative.
That's right. His only relative, his only grandchild.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy's mother and father were killed in an auto wreck. That was 3 or 4 years ago. Sherman's had a terrible lot of tragedy. Jimmy and his grandfather, they're the only ones left.
You can't think of any reason why the boy would want to leave his grandfather, can you?
None at all. Mr. Sherman's a wonderful man. Jimmy loved him, I knew that.
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Keller? Mrs. Keller?
Oh, that's Mr. Sherman. He's awake. We can go through the house out the back here.
All right, ma'am.
This way.
Thank you. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
Visitors for you, Mr. Sherman. How are you feeling?
All right, I suppose. Hello, Sergeant.
Hi,
Mr. Sherman.
What about the boy? Have you found him yet?
Well, nothing yet, Mr. Sherman. We've added more men to the searching party. We're doing everything we can.
Gone 2 nights and 2 days. Tell me the truth, Sergeant. What's happened to the boy?
Well, right now, we don't know any more about it than you do, sir, but that's no reason to give up hope.
You told us yourself yesterday that Jimmy's been missing once before. It turned out all right that time.
He wasn't gone for 2 nights and 2 days. Maybe you just say I'm old and I've got funny ideas, but I got a feeling, Sergeant, something's happened to Jimmy. Something's happened and I can't do anything about it.
You just put those thoughts out of your head, Mr. Sherman. They're going to find Jimmy and it's going to be all right. Why don't you pull up those lawn chairs there, Sergeant?
All right.
I'm going to go in the house and fix some cold lemonade for you men.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
We got your phone message at the office, Mr. Sherman. Anything special you wanted to talk to us about?
Yes, there was something. When you were talking to me yesterday,
Yes, sir.
I told you that Jimmy had on a brown jacket when he disappeared Monday night.
Yeah.
I was wrong, Sergeant. We found the jacket in his room. All he was wearing was a pair of blue jeans and this white sweatshirt. Do you think that might help any?
Yes, sir, it might. We'll send out a supplementary description of his clothes. We'll see that everybody's notified.
Just wish I could be out there with the searching party. Arthritis is pretty bad today. Caught me at a terrible time. Don't know what I'd do if anything happened to the boy.
I know we've asked you this before, Mr. Sherman, but can you think of any reason at all why your grandson would want to leave home?
No, sir, no reason at all. Those 2 collie pups over there in the pen. Jimmy just bought them last week with his own money. Saved up to get them.
I see.
The boy's crazy about dogs. That's why I say just wouldn't pick up and leave everything. The boy and me got along fine. No reason for it, Sergeant. Something's happened to the boy. I just got a feeling.
Officer?
Yes, ma'am?
Telephone call for either one of you.
I get it, Ben. I'll be right back.
Yeah, all right.
The man said it was your office calling.
Thank you, Miss Keller. Where's the phone?
Telephone straight back there in the hall.
Thank you very much. Friday talking.
This is Bowling, Joe. Just heard from the search party up in the hills.
Oh, did they find something?
Yeah, in the Elysian Park area by the upper reservoir.
Uh-huh.
Found a pair of kids' trousers right by the edge of the water.
What kind of trousers?
Blue jeans, nothing in the pockets. They'll start dragging for a body as soon as they get the equipment. Check it out with the grandfather, huh? See if the boy was in the habit of hiking up there around the reservoir.
Right. We'll call in just before we leave here.
Right, Joe.
Right, bye.
there's your lemonade, Sergeant. Just poured it for you. Nice and cold.
Thank you, ma'am.
What was it, Sergeant? Something about the boy?
Well, nothing definite, no, sir. Just a report on the search party. They're still up in the Elysian Park area.
Oh, I see.
Did your grandson, Jimmy, do much hiking in that neighborhood up there, Mr. Sherman?
Yes, I think he did. Likes to hike up there around the reservoir. Why?
The name on the 316 report, missing juvenile, read James Philip Sherman, WMA, 10 years old. He lived with his 68-year-old grandfather, Oscar Sherman, in a small cottage in a sparsely populated section of the city. Shortly after 6 p.m. on Monday, the boy went outside to play. When darkness fell and he failed to return home, his crippled grandfather went out to look for him. Half an hour later, the neighbors joined in the search. No sign of the boy. At 10 p.m., Juvenile Bureau was notified, and throughout the night, squads of men on foot and in cruiser cars canvassed the area. A local broadcast and an all-points bulletin was gotten out on the boy. Neither the grandfather or the neighbors could find any reason for his disappearance. After almost 48 hours of continuous searching, the only lead we had was the pair of trousers found on the edge of the upper reservoir in Elysian Park. They were shown to the grandfather, but he failed to give positive identification. Dragging operations at the reservoir began immediately. Meantime, Ben and I, together with Lorman and Lopez from Homicide, checked out every possible lead on the missing youngster. One of the tips came from a Frank Grady, an unemployed carpenter who lived 5 blocks from the Sherman home.
I don't know how much this may be worth to you, Sergeant. I don't want to get anybody into trouble, but I figured this is a pretty important thing.
Well, what is it you want to tell us, Mr. Grady?
Well, as I say, I don't want to get anybody in any trouble, but have you checked over everybody in this neighborhood?
I think we've talked to just about everybody in the area, don't you, Joe?
Well, either us or the man from Homicide. Why do you ask, Grady?
Well, there's a guy who lives down the street there, right down the corner from this house. Old guy by the name of Gilby.
Well, what about him?
As I say, I don't want to cause any trouble, but maybe you ought to double-check him. One thing, he's an ex-convict, I know that. Another thing, he hates everybody in the neighborhood. Hates the kids, too. Wouldn't be surprised if he was your man.
Why do you say that, Grady? Does he have any special reason for disliking the Sherman boy?
Old man Gilby wouldn't need a reason. A real queer one. Say, I got a couple cans of cold beer in the icebox, and I fix you fellas up.
No, thank you very much.
Just the same. What makes you think this Gilby had anything to do with the boy's disappearance, Mr. Grady?
Well, number one, I saw old man Gilby out walking Monday night when the Sherman kid disappeared.
Yeah?
Saw him walking along the road up there. The same one that goes up by the reservoir. And I watched him. It was dark by the time he got back to his house. I'd check on him again if I were you.
As far as you know, has Gilby ever been in trouble for bothering the kids in the neighborhood?
Oh, Sergeant, he bothers everybody in the neighborhood. Real queer. Lives by himself, always complaining about something. Frankly, I think he's your man. I think he took that kid and he did something to him.
Well, do you have anything at all to back up your opinion?
You dig around. You'll find something on him. He's no good and I'll bet on it. I've had a couple of run-ins with him myself. He just isn't any good, that's all.
Well, all right, Grady. Thanks for the tip. We'll be sure and double-check on the man.
You won't tell him where you got the tip, though, huh? Like I say, I've had run-ins with him before. It might cause trouble.
No, he won't know where we got it. Thanks again.
Okay, Sergeant. It's a pretty important thing. I didn't want to make anybody look bad, but the old man's just no good. Now, you understand that, don't you?
Sure, Grady. We understand. As a matter of routine, we double-checked on Grady's neighbor, Mr. Harold Gilby. We found out that he had no jail record and that he had been at work on Monday from 3 to 11 p.m. He could have had no direct connection with the Sherman boy's disappearance, no more than Grady himself could have had. The so-called tip he'd offered us was like 100 other phony leads in 100 other cases. Spiteful, small-minded neighbors trying to use a tragic situation to work out their jealousies and prejudice on somebody that they didn't get along with in the neighborhood. The search continued. So did the hot weather. Friday, August 6th. No sign of the missing boy. The temperature climbed into the mid-90s. Dragging operations at the reservoir went on. Saturday, August 7th. More legwork. More hot weather. By noontime, Ben and I had run down the last lead we had on 10-year-old Jimmy Sherman. Went nowhere. 1 p.m., we headed back for the office to check with Inspector Bowling.
These are the days when I wish I had a little swimming pool in my backyard. It'll be nice to go home to.
Yeah, well, save your money.
Oh, it doesn't cost so much. No, I read in a magazine where a fellow built his own pool for $95.37.
There can't be much of a pool, can it?
Oh, yeah, it's good size. Of course, he did all his own labor. Had all his friends in to help out.
He must have had a lot of friends, didn't he?
Yeah, he did after he finished the pool.
Friday, Ben?
Hi.
Oh, hi, Skipper.
How'd you two make out? Anything?
No luck at all.
It makes it unanimous. Did you hear about the old man, the boy's grandfather?
No, what happened?
I guess the strain got too much for him. He collapsed. They're moving him to a hospital.
Oh, that's too bad. Our men still up there Dragnet Reservoir?
Finished this morning. Nothing.
Well, how about the search party? Nothing there either, I suppose.
No, not a trace of the boy. It's a blind alley all the way around. How about the APB, the radiogram?
Had 3 replies so far. None of them panned out.
Here, grab it. Juvenile Bureau, Bowling. Yeah, Fred. No good, huh? Yeah, all right. Check you later. I heard it once. I heard it 50 times. No trace of the boy.
Got me, Skipper. Something real weird about the whole thing.
Well, now, look, we know he didn't just disappear into thin air. Kid's gone. There's a good reason for it. There's got to be an answer somewhere.
That's right. You'll find it.
Another week passed, and then a month. 2 months. We were no farther along than the day we started on the case. In November, we had a teletype from Chief Earl O'Clair of the Phoenix, Arizona Police Department. Reportedly, the Sherman boy had been seen in Phoenix. It was another false alarm. The Christmas holidays wore on into a new year. February came and went. Then March, April. Tuesday, May 3rd, 1:40 p.m. Ben and I got a call to check in with Inspector Bowling.
This telegram just came in from Dayton, Ohio. Have a look.
Thank you.
Let's see, Joe. What is it?
Jimmy Sherman. They found him. 9 months had gone by, almost to the day, since the Sherman boy had disappeared. The grandfather was contacted immediately. When he was told his grandson had been found and that he was safe, the old man was unable to answer. He broke down and wept. In our communications with the Dayton, Ohio police, they told us that the boy had been found wandering along a highway just outside that city and that he'd appeared to be in a kind of a dazed condition. The boy told the Dayton officers that he'd been kidnapped a short distance from his home in Los Angeles by a man in a blue sedan. He gave them detailed descriptions of both the man and the car. He told them that for the past 9 months, the man had held him prisoner, driving from state to state, never letting the boy out of his sight. He said the kidnapper told him on several occasions that he was holding him for ransom and that he was waiting to get money from his grandfather. On May 8th, the youngster was returned to Los Angeles and reunited with his grandfather. On May 10th, we got a call from the grandfather that he wanted to talk to us. Ben and I drove out to see him.
Come right in, officers. Glad to see you.
How are you, sir?
Hi, Mr. Sherman.
Sorry to cause you all this trouble chasing you out here like this.
Not at all, sir. What is it you want to see us about?
Well, I'm not really sure about it, Sergeant. That's the whole thing of it. I don't know if it's me or what it is.
Well, what's bothering you, Mr. Sherman?
It's the boy, Jimmy. I don't know what to think.
Well, how do you mean, sir? He's all right, isn't he? We saw him as we drove up, playing out in the backyard, and the doctor checked him over.
No, it's not that. The boy's healthy enough. Nothing wrong with him.
Well, then what is it, sir?
Maybe it sounds a little weird to you, but I'm just not sure.
You're not sure of what?
That boy out there, Sergeant. I'm not sure he's really my grandson.
You are in the Communications Division of a Metropolitan Police Department, the teletype room.
.43, LOS 52951, 12:03 p.m. APB, WMA 150, 5'6", dark hair, dark eyes, wearing gray suit, no hat. Suspect is wearing glasses. Heavy build, 22 years. Suspect is armed with blue steel revolver. Any information? Forward.
You have just heard a teletype description of a suspect. This information will apply to many, but careful screening will eliminate all but one.
You'll find the same is true when you examine king-size cigarettes. Careful screening will eliminate all but Fatima.
Compare Fatima. Fatimas are the same length as any other king-size cigarette, 85 millimeters. Fatima has the same circumference, 1 1/64 inches around.
And Fatima filters the smoke exactly the same long distance as other king-size cigarettes, but in Fatima the difference is quality.
Fatima gives you extra mildness, a much different, much better flavor and aroma. You get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
So compare Fatima yourself. Your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Best of all, long cigarettes.
Tuesday, May 10th, 2 p.m. When the aging grandfather, Oscar Sherman, told us that he wasn't sure whether the recovered boy was really his grandson, Ben and I didn't know what to think. Our first reaction was that the shock of recovering the boy after he'd almost been given up for lost had been too much for the old man. Mr. Sherman admitted that there was no physical difference in the boy as far as he could see, but he still insisted that there was something wrong, that the boy seemed different somehow. To satisfy the grandfather, Ben and I talked to the boy, but he failed to give us any reason to believe that he was not Jimmy Sherman. We checked with the boy's friends, all the people in the neighborhood who'd known Jimmy over a period of years. They confirmed our opinion. A few thought that the youngster had changed a little, but no one had any serious doubts about it. The boy was really Jimmy Sherman. So the matter was dropped. Thursday, May 12th. Ben and I had lunch, and then we checked back in at the office.
Joe, want to grab that?
Yeah, I'll get it. Juvenile Bureau, Friday.
Sergeant, this is Mr. Sherman talking.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes, sir. How are you?
I want you to come out and take this boy, Sergeant. He's not my grandson. I'm sure of it.
Well, how do you mean, sir?
This boy's got a scar on his side. He's had his appendix out.
Yes, sir.
My grandson never had an operation in his life.
Before we left the office, Ben and I briefed Inspector Bowling on the phone call from the grandfather, then we drove back to the Sherman house. While Oscar Sherman didn't claim that he knew his grandson's complete medical history, he was certain that the boy had not had his appendix out and that he had not had an operation. He told us that his neighbor, Mrs. Keller, could substantiate that she had known Jimmy since he was a baby. We put in a call to the Sherman's family doctor. He wasn't in. We left a message, and then we went next door to see Mrs. Keller. We found her in the kitchen washing dishes.
I just got a couple more to rinse. Can you wait a minute?
Yes, go ahead.
Of course we can.
No, to tell you the truth, Sergeant, I just don't know what to think about Mr. Sherman. Maybe the whole thing was too much for him. His mind's going back on.
Well, to your knowledge, Mrs. Keller, was the boy ever operated on?
No, not as far as I know. But it's possible he did have an operation. I didn't hear about it. Sergeant, as far as I'm concerned, that boy's Jimmy Sherman. I don't know what his grandfather's up to with all that silly talk.
Well, if it's not really the boy, we won't have too much trouble finding the truth.
There's no question in my mind. Of course it's Jimmy. Why, when he was over here the other day, he talked about the party I gave for him one Halloween. He even remembered the children who were there.
Mm-hmm. Are the other neighbors as sure about the boy as you are?
Just about. Miss Foster down the street, Jimmy was in to see her yesterday. He talked about some changes she'd made in her living room, asked her about some relatives she has living out of town.
Mm-hmm.
Come to think about it, Jimmy even remarked on that new trailer rose I planted out in front. Besides, as the boys' dogs, why, they knew that youngster the minute he set foot in the yard.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Keller. If we have any more questions, we'll contact you. Is that all right?
All right, Sergeant. Couldn't fix you a cup of coffee, could I?
Oh,
no, thank you, Miss
Take
Keller.
your time now.
Poor old Mr. Sherman. I don't know what to make of it. He's so mixed up.
Yes, ma'am. So are we. We left the neighbor, Mrs. Keller, and went back next door to the Sherman house. The grandfather told us that the family doctor hadn't returned our call yet. At 3:30 p.m., the boy came home from school, changed his clothes, and went out into the backyard to play. We figured we had nothing to lose in talking to the boy again. We found him in the small workshop at the rear of the garage where he was sawing on a piece of plywood with a hacksaw. We talked to him for about 20 minutes. It was no different than the first time we interviewed him. He was relaxed and talkative.
Say, would you hand me that hammer there, officer?
Oh, yeah. Here you go.
Thanks. Boy, if I ever get this thing finished, it's going to be the best coaster around here. These are the wheels I'm going to put on it. Pretty good, aren't they?
Yeah, they look fine, son. Do you like building things, coasters and things like that?
Oh, yeah, I like it all right. It's fun.
Your granddad says you've changed quite a bit since you got back, Jim. Says you didn't like working around the shop here before.
Well, I guess I don't really. You know, once in a while I like to come out and fool around.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen Mr. Barlow down the street since you've been back?
Mr. Barlow? No, I went down to see him, but he wasn't home. Maybe I'll go down and see him tomorrow.
His name isn't Barlow, is it, Ben? I thought it was Robinson.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Mr. Robinson. Sometimes I forget.
How do you and your grandfather get along, Jim, all right?
Oh, sure, every once in a while looks kind of funny at me. I don't know. I guess he's still worried about that man taking me away, and all.
Uh-huh. How you been feeling lately, Jim, okay?
Sure, I feel fine. Hardly ever get sick. That's good.
You ever been in the hospital, son?
Uh-huh, just once. Had my appendix out. I hate hospitals. Can I have that can of nails there, please?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, here you are.
Gotta make this good and strong, you know.
I'd like to ask you a question, son.
Yeah?
What's your real name?
I'm Jimmy Sherman, you know that.
No, I'd like to have the truth, son. Who are you?
You must be fooling, officers. You know who I am. Jimmy Sherman.
No, Jimmy Sherman never had his appendix out, son, but you did, and you've got a scar to prove it, haven't you?
Sure, I had my appendix out. Ask my grandpa, he'll tell you.
I'm afraid he won't, son. He says he's not your grandfather. He says you don't belong here. His grandson never had an operation in his life.
How about it, son? You want to tell us about it?
Oh, Grandpa isn't feeling well. He doesn't know what he's saying.
Well, he knows you're not his grandson. Now, come on, what about it, son?
All right. I'm not Jimmy Sherman.
He told us his real name was Donald Rush. He said he'd run away from his home in Springfield, Ohio, 2 weeks before. He said that he'd been picked up by the police on a highway just on the outskirts of Dayton, Ohio. On returning the boy to the station, the police officers saw that he fitted the description of the missing California boy perfectly. It was almost as if the two were identical twins. Under the impression that the youngster was suffering from shock or amnesia, the police officers told him all about his home and his friends in California. They gave Donald Rush all the information that they had on the missing Sherman boy. All the newspaper stories, pictures, the dozens of teletypes and circulars which had been sent across the country in an effort to locate the missing youngster. On his way out to California on the train, the Rush boy was given dozens of newspapers to read, which contained thousands of words concerning the disappearance of Jimmy Sherman. So, by the time he got to Los Angeles, Donald Rush knew everything he had to know about the boy he was impersonating. We questioned the Ohio youngster further. Besides an exceptionally high IQ, he admitted to having an almost photographic memory. We took him in the house to face the grandfather of the boy that he'd been impersonating, the boy who was still missing.
Mr. Sherman.
Yes, Sergeant. Sit down, won't you?
The boy here has a confession for you. He wants to tell you himself.
I think I know. I was right all along, wasn't I, Sergeant?
I didn't mean anything by it, mister. I just thought it'd be fun to make out like I was somebody else for a while.
You wouldn't know the difference, would you, Sergeant?
No, sir. I'm afraid I wouldn't. That picture over there on the mantel and the boy here, they look exactly alike to me.
There's only one thing I'd like to know, son.
Yeah?
Why'd you do it? Why'd you try and fool me?
Oh, I don't know, mister. I ran away from home, and the cops picked me up near Dayton. They thought my name was Jimmy Sherman. They said I was a missing kid from California.
Why didn't you straighten them out right then, son?
I was kind of afraid, and if I told them what my real name was, they would have sent me back home. So I just let them think I was really Jimmy Sherman. And they seemed to be pretty sure I was.
How long did you think you could keep it up, son, pretending you were somebody else?
I don't know. Guess I never thought much about that. I got here, and everybody was nice to me. I just didn't think about anybody finding out. Honest, mister, I didn't mean to do anything wrong. I didn't mean to hurt anybody.
And you never saw my grandson? You never saw Jimmy?
No, sir. I just got on the train. They brought me out here.
You don't know where he is? You don't know how he is?
All right, try to take it easy, Mr. Sherman.
Why would you do it, boy? You're a stranger. Why would you try to fool me about Jimmy?
I'm sorry, mister. I didn't mean it. Honest, I didn't mean it.
Thought I had him back. Thought I had him back.
Come on, Ben.
Let's go, son.
I didn't want to make him cry like that, Sergeant. Honest, I'm sorry. Couldn't you just let me stay here with him?
No, I'm afraid not, son.
I won't do anything wrong. Don't you think I could just stay here with him? I'll go right back in there now and tell him I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry too, youngster, but you're not the boy he's looking for.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On Wednesday, May 20th, a meeting was held at the Juvenile Bureau, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that meeting.
And now here's our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, I hold in my hand a new pack of Fatimas. All I need to prove that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes. Now here, on the side, you'll find this statement. Fatima contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild. Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has. So tomorrow, buy a pack of Fatimas. I know you'll find that in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Donald Rush, who impersonated missing 10-year-old Jimmy Sherman, was returned to the custody of his parents at their home in Springfield, Ohio. 4 months later, the body of Jimmy Sherman was discovered buried on a farm on the outskirts of Riverside, California. The boy had been murdered. His killer, a farmer in the neighborhood, was subsequently apprehended and brought to trial. He was found guilty of murder in the first degree and was executed at the state penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over most NBC stations.
Sure. I'm Pat Novak. For hire. That's what the sign out in front of my office says. Pat Novak for hire. Oh, there are a lot of ways to put it, but it's easier if you let your slip show right from the beginning. Because down on the waterfront in San Francisco, you got to do a lot of things to make a living. Otherwise, it's like being a CPA in a charity ward. I rent boats and do anything else that'll keep a bum lawyer in beer and broadcloth. Works out all right. You make a few bucks if you don't forget there are only 2 questions you can ask anybody down here. When and how much. Even then, you got to watch out, unless you like your trouble without a chaser. I found that out Monday night. I closed shop and I walked down the street to Noonan's bar. Well, it really isn't a bar. It's just a couple of stools with a bottle opener and a jukebox full of Irish tenors, but it's good enough to give you a shove down the road. Must have been about 11. I was sitting at one end of the place by myself, sorting out mistakes and spending a $50 on the bar, so I don't know when she came in, but she came in. I remember that.
Does it always come up heads?
If you're lucky. Who are you?
If you're that lucky, you'd have dollar bills to do it with.
Look, I'm low on chatter. Why don't you go down the counter and talk to the racy set, huh?
I'd rather buy you a drink.
Noonan's a social climber. He's going to throw you out.
You buy me one, then.
And I'm broke to strangers. Now, that winds up the conversation. See you later.
We'll talk Thursday, then. I went to your office, but they said you were over here. I want to hire you, Mr. Novak.
Have you got a name to go with the figure?
It won't fit in your file. I want you for 3 hours' work tomorrow afternoon. Can you do it?
If I said yes, it might be too tough.
There's a flower stand at the corner of Post and Kearney. I want you to go to that stand tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. Pick up a geranium plant and deliver it to this address.
I'm too big for a Western Union boy.
Are you too big for $50?
No. Must be a pretty geranium at those prices.
Some people love nature, Mr. Novak. Do you care?
No, I know a guy who likes parrots.
You go to the stand and tell them you want the plant. Take it straight to the address I gave you. It's important. Don't let it out of your hands.
For $50, I'll act like we're married.
I better give you the money now.
Well, you're eager. Suppose I don't deliver.
I found you tonight. I can do it again.
Mm-hmm. Well, where do I get in touch with you?
You don't. Mr. Novak, this is the last time over the course. So take a good look now.
Yeah, I'm away past midnight already. Suppose something goes wrong tomorrow.
Then it's very simple, Mr. Novak. You won't have to send for flowers. Good night.
I watched her as she turned and walked out the door. She was wearing a flowered print dress, and as she walked, the roses kept getting mixed up with the daisies. She walked with a nice, friendly movement, like the trapdoor on a gallows. As she reached the door, she turned and smiled once, as if she knew the $50 was just for laughs. I scooped up the dough before anybody could see it, because at noons, everybody gets broke in one motion. I left a few minutes later, and I went home to bed. I dreamed real good on $50, so I felt good the next afternoon when I got to the corner of Post and Kearney. The flower stand was there, all right, and I leaned against the storefront to watch the guy for a while. Maybe I should have known then, because right away I got the idea he didn't know what he was doing. But you can say that for a lot of senators. So I let it ride. When the jewelry store clock across the street said 2 o'clock, I walked up to him.
Can I do something for you?
Yeah, give me a geranium plant.
What kind do you want?
Big one, a small one, I don't care. It's 2 o'clock. I'll take that kind.
You want a geranium?
Look, it's going to get dark. You got that long to argue?
Here's the one you want, then.
If you say so. You want to wrap it?
No, it's all right. You carry it that way.
Well, I'm going to look real funny walking around with a handful of geranium.
Why do you want one, then?
I see. You don't feel like talking about it.
No, just take it and be happy.
Yeah. How much?
Nothing. Doesn't cost a thing.
Suit yourself. You won't make much dough that way.
I'll make even less talking to you. Just take the plant and be careful.
No? How do you know what I'm going to do with the geranium?
I don't, mister. Some people eat them. Just be careful and goodbye.
Well, the way things were going, Post Street began to look like the main drag in Casablanca. I watched the guy fumble around with a customer for a minute, and then I crossed the street and started up toward Union Square. The cop gave me a kind of a funny look when he saw the geranium. He smiled as if he thought I had a pair of dancing sandals in my coat pocket. About halfway up the block, I stopped to look in an art store. Right then, I noticed the guy with the cane for the first time. He was standing near me, looking in the other window. He was a little guy and kind of wrinkled and bumpy. His skin looked like a cucumber full of powder. I started up the street and pulled into the bookstore. He stopped, too, and I knew he was following me. When I got to Stockton, I turned left and walked toward Geary Street. Halfway down, there's a little street called Maiden Lane. Oh, it sounds gentle, but so does Vesuvius when you say it fast. I just started to cross when a black Nash pulled away from the curb. Some dead relative must have put in a good word for me.
Hey, over here! Hey, pull him over! Hey, over here! You all right, mister?
Yeah, I'll do, I guess.
You're lucky you're not dead.
Yeah, we're all that way. Give me a hand, will you?
Oh,
thanks.
That car came out of there and hit you on purpose. You're lucky you're not dead.
All right. I owe the house a free roll.
This lady here took down the license number. You want it?
Yeah, thanks.
You sure you're all right?
Yeah, I'm a slow bleeder. I dropped a plant somewhere around here.
This it? This red thing?
Yeah, that's it, thanks.
Didn't even hurt the plant. That's something. You know, when I saw that car come out of there and hit you, you know what I thought about you?
That fella's lucky he's not dead.
Yeah.
Well, I looked around, but the little guy with the cane had disappeared. As I crossed Union Square, I kept looking around, but he was gone. Well, I tried to forget about it, but I couldn't get it out of my mind. It kept coming back and showing up again like a bad reputation. Why had the guy started to follow me and then stopped so suddenly? And how about that guy in the car and that $50 geranium? Well, I got a cab over at the St. Francis stand, and I rode out to the address that the girl gave me. On the way, I looked at the flower. From what I could see, it was just a geranium planted in a little wooden box. Like all the rest of them, it bloomed unevenly with buds that looked too nervous to come out, like a debutante with thick ankles. When the cab pulled up at the address, it was a rooming house out on Clay Street. The note I had said third floor rear, so I went up there and knocked. There was no answer, so I went in expecting to find anything. Anything but what I did find.
Go away. Go away and leave me alone.
She closed her eyes and stopped talking. She was so sick it showed like a searchlight in a cave. Her complexion was pasty and the color of a November sky. She had no expression on her face, just thin lips drawn so tightly the rims were white. No, she wasn't ready to quit yet, but you could tell she'd been papering the house for years. And you wouldn't want to bet on her. She was going to last about as long as a warm snowflake. It was easy to tell. You got a bad cough. You need some sun.
I need more than that.
Yeah, I guess you do.
Who are you?
Relax. I'm not the welcome angel. I just brought you some flowers.
Is it a joke for somebody?
I don't know, lady. With me, it's a $50 hustle. They're your flowers, so you work out the right answer.
Go away. Go away, please.
You want the flowers?
You brought them for me, didn't you? Leave them and go away.
Well, it's just a geranium. I'm going to leave it on the table.
Why'd they send you?
My reason was $50.
To come to hurt me?
I don't know. Do you rate it?
Oh, I'm too tired. You couldn't really hurt me, could you? Thank you for coming. Thank you for your kindness.
Sure. If that's what it is, you're welcome. That's all she said, and that's all that happened in that little room up on Clay Street. It wasn't much, and it wasn't enough to worry you, but for some reason I felt like a man in quicksand complaining about his height. When I left there, I took a car down to Market Street, and I had dinner. Well, it didn't go right because I kept thinking about this afternoon and last night. Who did she mean by they, and where did all these people fit together? The guy with the cane, the gal that gave me the $50 in the little chair about a maiden lane. Well, I tried to forget about it, but it wasn't easy. It was like trying to change a typewriter ribbon with mittens on. After dinner, I went home. It was about 8 o'clock, and when I got in the apartment, it was dark. Before I had a chance to put on the light, I knew somebody was in the bedroom. I walked over to the door. In the dim light, it looked like a walrus in pants, but it turned out to be Inspector Hellman from Homicide.
Hello, Novak. I just dropped in for a chat.
You always chat with your hand in the bureau drawer?
It's restful. I've been looking over your stuff.
Is this a social call or are you out stealing?
Where you been, Novak?
What do you care, Hellman?
All right, I'll tell you where I've been. In a third-floor room out in Clay Street.
I left one this afternoon.
It's the same one. Your fingerprints are all over the joint.
I'll bet you checked everywhere.
What were you doing out there?
Delivering flowers.
Is that your best try, Novak?
It's the best I'm going to do for you. If you don't like it, check with a woman out there. I brought her flowers and left.
What woman?
The one on the couch, a black-haired girl with a half-dead look.
You're wrong twice.
Huh?
There's no girl out there, unless she's tattooed on the guy's chest.
Oh.
And that guy doesn't have a half-dead look. It's better than that.
All the way.
That's right. He's dead enough to pray for. Will that do?
Hellman's sleeve so full of fat, I didn't expect anything else up there. He flipped on the light, and I could see he was real pleased with himself. He was smiling like a guy who's just found his partner bidding no trump with 13 spades. He sat down on the bed and unbuttoned his coat. Part of his stomach oozed out and hung over his belt like a 1910 lampshade. He lit a cigarette, and then he began to run his tongue over a set of teeth that looked more like old mandolin picks than teeth. He blew smoke and looked about as appetizing as a piece of squid pie.
Must have been a short argument, Novak. The coroner says the guy checked out in a hurry.
What else does the coroner say?
It was good poison. You buy only the best, Novak.
Don't stub your toe, Hellman. I went up there to deliver a geranium plant.
So far, you got a good case. The guy was poisoned with a spring needle, hidden in that geranium box.
Who was he?
He didn't say, and there wasn't any identification. Do you want to help?
I don't know, Hellman. When I was there, we were doing Camille. Some ghost woman was dying on the couch by inches. It was her room. You better check.
We did. The room was rented 10 days ago by a man named George Langley. The landlady says there's never been a woman in the room.
That's what all landladies say. Wake up, Hellman. I stood there and watched her shake like a dust mop for 10 minutes. You can follow up on her and then check that florist stand at Kearney and Post.
What do I check for, Bull Weevils?
He's the guy that gave me that geranium plant.
We'll check. I want you down at headquarters by midnight tonight, Novak. You can talk to yourself till then. After that, you talk to us.
I'll make it up from here on, Hellman. You don't like it the other way.
Suit yourself, Novak. You know when you do. In the meantime, we'll find out what we can.
I can't wait that long, Hellman. You couldn't find a tractor on the back porch. I'd hang if I waited for your boys.
That's what you're going to do. And at midnight, you can dangle as high as you want.
I don't mind as long as my feet are on the same level as your head. When Hellman left, I sat down to try to piece things together. I knew everything was there if I could just shove it into place. It was like trying to swap an egg beater for a mixmaster. I was pretty sure there was something about the Geranium Plant I should remember. One little thing that threw everything else out of focus. Well, I finally gave up. I was $50 ahead and one murder rap behind. Depends on how you like your fun. $50 is all right, but the pleasure's limited. Like giving somebody a hot foot in an ammunition dump. If I was going to drag the town, I needed help. So I looked up the only honest guy I know. An ex-doctor and a boozer by the name of Jocko Madigan. Oh, he's all right for a guy who thinks people with steady hands are lazy. I finally found him in a little tinsel joint on Mason Street. It was high class for the neighborhood. The smoke was only a week old, and they had a cigarette girl. A long, leggy biscuit that wandered around trying to sell a sour smile at sweet prices. Jocko was down at the end of the bar rolling some olives back and forth. The rhythm was fine.
Ah, Patsy, you're just in time to help me off the wagon. A stout glass for Mr. Novak.
Oh, I want to talk to you, Jocko.
Oh, Patsy, confidentially, I hate martinis. I just drink them for the vitamins. Everybody should have a few vegetables, and I have chosen olives.
Look, I'm in trouble, Jocko. Will you sober up and talk?
I could do that easily. I've done it 2 or 3 times, and it's no trick at all. But I refuse because it's a vulgar display of willpower.
Will you stop, Jocko?
You know, Patsy, there are only 2 things that could cause my downfall. Whiskey or women. I'm not particular. You find a nice old widow, and I'll quit this stuff.
All right.
Some plump old party with a memory as vivid as my own. Preferably somebody rich enough to convince me the lines in her face weren't put there by worry.
Oh, stop it, will you?
Patsy, I'll allow you to motivate my dissent, but I will not permit you to bring it to a halt. I apologize for interrupting. Go ahead.
What do you know about flowers?
Oh, I think they're pretty on a woman's shoulder, but I suppose that's mixed devotion. Why?
Well, I'm going to need your help, Jocko. There's a dead guy out on Clay Street, and Hellman's campaigning for me.
How do the flowers fit in?
A geranium plant. The guy was poisoned with a needle in the box. I took the plant up there to a woman.
A clumsy approach. Why a geranium plant?
It's a mixed-up story. I got hired in Noonan's bar to pick it up this afternoon at Post and Kearney. I got gumshoed all the way up Post Street and hit by a car at Maiden Lane.
You looked bent when you walked in.
I took it out to this address, and I gave it to a dying woman. Now she's disappeared, and Hellman's after me for the dead guy on her floor. Oh, I need some help, Jocko. I got to find a way out of this.
Well, you passed up a golden opportunity when that car hit you.
That's one of the places you come in. Now, here's the license. I want you to hop down and check the registration, will you?
What is?
Find out who runs that flower stand at the corner of Post and Kearney. Now, if you get back in time, I can check tonight. Tag by my place. I'll either be there or I'll leave a message.
Where are you going?
To find a woman.
That seems like a peculiar way to handle a crisis.
Well, I got to find the gal that started me out on this.
Patsy, I wish you'd forget about women.
And I wish you'd forget about whiskey.
Yes, we both have our problems. Except I enjoy one safeguard that you don't. At least I can look at the label and tell how old it is. Good night, lover.
Well, I got out of there and I went by Noonan's place. I asked him if he knew the girl in there last night. He said after 45, a man forgets about a woman's face, so I checked that lead off and started on the other girl. I hit all the cab stands out near Clay Street, and I finally found a hack that picked her up. It was about 4 o'clock, he said. She had luggage and rode over to Janet Street on Telegraph Hill, but he couldn't remember the address at the best rates in town, so I checked off that one, too. From here on, it was going to be a rough ride. I didn't know where to dig. I might as well have been out looking for a stick with one end. Well, I could try one more thing. I went by to search the Clay Street joint. It was a dirty room, and the geranium hadn't helped. There was a sweet odor and a thick, dusty cloud all over the place. It was like going to sleep in a bag of an old vacuum cleaner. There wasn't anything there that could help, and on my way out, I heard footsteps. I snapped off the light and waited. The door opened slowly. I couldn't see her face, but I knew it was the girl from Noonan's. Turn on the light and you'll see your friends.
Well, Mr. Novak.
Sit down. Let's talk.
In here? Why don't we drop by a gymnasium and get some fresh air?
We can start with your name.
It's easy. Say your piece, Mr. Novak. I've run out of $50 bills.
Yeah, that's the way it is with my patients. Who killed the guy?
I don't know, Patsy. I can narrow it down to one county for you, but after that you'll have to do your own sorting.
The police think I did it.
Maybe you did. You look big enough to carry the load. I don't care, Patsy. I'm not going to weep. I've got about 3 tiers left, and he isn't high enough on the list to rate one.
Who was he? And how'd you find out he was dead?
There's generally a dirty rim in the wash bowl. His name was Charles Dowd. Don't worry about him. There's a small-time guy who's at the fast music.
Well, I'm going to worry about him because Homicide's worried about him.
Then worry in a calm way, Patsy. If you do it that way, I'll help.
Sit down.
Now, look, lady, you better help out or I'll lose your teeth for you.
Patsy, you're tough. And everything, I guess.
Who runs that flower stand?
It wouldn't help. When he gave you that uranium, there was nothing wrong.
For $50, there had to be something wrong.
It wasn't full of poison. I know it was in there, and it wasn't poison. Somebody made a switch up here.
What happened to the girl?
I don't know. Relax. You're going to use up all that nice energy.
Look, sis, you can haul in those long legs and give me some answers.
I'm going to haul them in long enough to ask a few questions. My turn now, Patsy. Back over toward the door. You can talk on your way.
Yeah, you look good with a gun.
You made a deal with George. I want to hear about it, Novak.
I don't even know George. If he's got a part, you just dealt him in.
I'm too old for fairy tales, Patsy. George got to you and found out about that geranium box. It couldn't have happened any other way.
Sorry, lady.
Remember, you're nothing to me, Novak. You're $50 worth of muscle. You're $50 now, spend you fast.
Go easy. You're going to break open a scene. I don't know your boy, George, and I can forget you, too.
You can do it while you're talking. I came a long way, Patsy. Too far to toss it over for a male or a bum. You're just a passing pair of pants to me, and I'll throw you away faster than a water gun.
Now's your chance, baby. Come on.
Oh, let go. You're hurting my shoulder.
Relax. You're not going to have one in a minute. Come on, drop it. Now, reach down for that gun, and I'll jam you in the basement faster than a ton of coal.
All right.
Now, let's hear you talk.
I would, Patsy, but you're not listening.
That's what happens when you don't watch the door. Somebody falls in love with the back of your head. I didn't even have a chance to see who hit me. I don't know what good it would have done unless you're the kind of a guy who keeps a scrapbook on those things. When I woke up, I had company. He was taking a nap, too, only his was going to last longer. It was the little guy with the cane. He tailed me right to the end. He was lying there with his mouth open and a bunch of pink gum showing as if he was trying to pick up a few bucks with a toothpaste ad. I was still groggy, and I couldn't see around the room, but I could hear a slow, steady squeaking sound. I turned my head, and Hellman was sitting in a rocking chair. He looked as happy as a choir boy on Christmas Eve.
You have a good sleep, Novak?
Oh, why don't they move the morgue down here?
Yeah, I guess you ran out of poison.
Why don't you go away, Hellman?
Home, maybe, huh?
I don't owe your wife anything, so I'll wish that.
Who's the guy?
I don't know.
You looked chummy when I got here.
I don't know, Hellman. He followed me all over Post Street this afternoon. Check him yourself.
I did. There's nothing on him.
I'll bet his gold fillings are gone now.
Your trial run was a guy named Charles Dowd.
I know.
He was arrested in 1942 on suspicion of espionage.
He's in business again. A whole bunch of them are, and the kicker has something to do with that geranium plant.
What bunch?
These dead guys and a lot of others on the same schedule. It's that geranium plant. It all started at Post and Kearney. You better check that florist stand.
Don't you ever get tired, Novak?
Huh?
We checked the florist stand at Post and Kearney. The answer's no.
Did you talk to the guy?
No, because there is no florist stand at Post and Kearney.
You're crazy, Hellman. I got a geranium plant there this afternoon.
There's no florist stand at Post and Kearney. If you got a geranium there, it was grown out of a crack in the sidewalk.
I left Hellman standing there over the dead man. The little guy was looking up at Hellman with a dull, bored look like an usher in a burlesque house. I was sure now there was something about that geranium I'd missed. If I could find the string and pull it, the whole thing would unravel. The questions were piling up, and there was only one answer. Who got to that box and made a switch? Well, it was close to 11 when I got back to my apartment. Jocko was in the kitchen working on an experiment.
Ah, Pepsi, I'm drinking to your memory. I'm making up for cheap booze with extra sentiment.
What'd you find out?
You were mixed up. There is no flower stand at Kearney and Post.
Now, look, I've been through all that once. It was Post and Kearney. I couldn't have made a mistake.
Oh, anybody can confuse a street. It can be done easily. I once confused two whole suburbs.
Yeah, all right.
I boycotted a bar in Alameda for months before I found out they gave me the Mickey in San Carlos.
Now, look, I know what I did, Jocko. Maybe the flower stand moved. Maybe it was never there before. But today it was at Post and Kearney. How about that license number?
The car is registered in the name of George Langley. Who's he?
He rented the murder room, and he's mixed up in a switch on that geranium plant.
What kind of switch?
I don't know. But whatever it was, George did it. When it left that stand, there was something else in it besides a poison needle. Everybody knew it. The girl and the little guy with a cane, probably the guy that drove that car.
They switch plans?
No, they changed. Yeah, I guess he could have done that too, huh?
Was the man with the cane behind you when you got hit by the car?
Yeah, I think you're right, Jocko.
He wasn't trying to kill you. In the confusion, the man with the cane switched plants on you.
Oh, Jocko, you're an angel. I'm going to do something for you someday.
You already have. I charged this bottle of whiskey to you.
Yeah, Novak talking.
I got news for you.
Mine's good, too. That poison needle plant was engineered by the little guy with a cane.
We identified him. His fingerprints match an espionage agent called George Langley.
Well, he was due any minute.
There's nothing else on
left, he lived in a place up on Janet Street.
So it happened that way.
Huh?
That's where the other geranium is, Hellman. You better get up there before they ring down the curtain. That other plant's going to draw all the boys and girls.
What does that prove?
Nothing, except you haven't got any business bothering a flower unless you're a bee. Well, you never know how the cards are going to fall, but when it's a wild game like Red Dog, whichever way they fall, it's going to hurt. And the last card's the one that breaks your back. So when Hellman hung up, I grabbed a cab and rushed out to Janet Street. It's a little short street draped down the side of Telegraph Hill like a torn ribbon. When Hellman pulled up at the top of the hill, I met him, and we started down to George Langley's address. Hellman opened the front door, and as we started into the bedroom, we ran into a traffic jam.
I'm sorry.
Hello, Evie. This is Hellman from Homicide.
I don't have time now, Patsy.
That's all you got, baby. Grab her bag there, Hellman.
Patsy, you're crazy.
Open her bag, Hellman. That's what they're all after. There's the geranium over by the window.
Let's have the bag, lady.
You're all too grabby. I'll take it. Come on, Evie.
Who's this guy?
A pixie, Hellman. He's the guy that sold me the flower down at Post and Kearney.
I'm sorry you got mixed up, Novak, but I'm short on regrets tonight. Give me the bag, Evie.
Go easy. We're going to get in too deep.
You're in up to your nostrils now, baby. The bag. I want that piece of paper.
You don't need a gun, Gerard.
That's up to you, Evie. You double-crossed me, and I'm too old for a new set of tricks.
That's the way it had to be, Gerard. You can see that. When George cut in, there was nothing else to do. It was high man in, low man out.
You're out there, and I want the bag.
Stay away from me, Jerry.
Give me time. I'll get far away.
I'm going to hang on to it. Stay away, Jerry.
I hear you, but that's all, baby.
Give me a hand, Patsy.
You're going to need more than that, Angel.
Help me to the couch.
Sure, come on. There you are.
Thanks, Patsy. You didn't owe me that.
I can't take it back now.
How's Gerard?
He bleeds big.
If I wasn't so tired, I'd laugh and laugh.
No, I wouldn't do that, Angel. You're going to be there in time to hear the echo. What's in the bag?
A formula. One other thing, Pat.
Yeah?
One other thing.
What'd she say?
I don't know, Hellman. She took it with her.
Where does that leave us?
Short one girl. She's in the apartment or on her way up.
Don't look too hard, Mr. Novak.
How many more are there?
She's the big act. How do your friends look, sweetheart?
They look the way they should. Oh. They watched me get sick. They didn't do anything about it. They sat around waiting for the last ounce of blood to dry up.
You better go with Hellman.
Please take me when you have a chance. Take me to... No.
Yeah, you're more than ready.
Oh, I think they look wonderful. They let me work for years. They let me get this way. And then they sat around to listen to my heartbreak.
Well, I don't know why, but Hellman was confused. He finally got the story off the girl in a hospital bed. All five of them had worked together once, gathering government information, but when the big order came, double-cross set in like an epidemic. They were out after a formula. The dying girl had one half, and the other half was in that geranium plant. It came off the boat and went to that phony flower stand. Evie and Gerard were afraid to deliver it themselves, so they hired me to do it. The sick girl was in on another frame. She tipped off Langley, and he worked that hit and run with Dowd, only he forgot to tell Dowd about the poison needle. When Dowd was dead, the girl checked out for Langley's place. Between them, they had the formula, but they got in the beef, so she killed him. She came back to plant a phony lead for Evie, and that's how I got sacked. Evie tumbled and headed for Langley's place. When she left, the girl planted Langley next to me in that room and then went back to watch Evie and Gerard in that overtime match. I guess she was too sick to care one way or the other. Now, Hellman asked only one question. How come five such bad people ever got together in one shuffle? I don't know, except most people are full of a lot of good and a lot of bad. The day we met them, all the bad was showing.
The Armed Forces Radio Service has just brought you Pat Novak For Hire, starring Jack Webb. Pat Novak is produced by William P. Russo. Jocko Madigan is played by Tudor Owen. Inspector Hellman is played by Raymond Burr. Music was composed and conducted by Basil Adlam. Be with us again next week when over most of these same stations we'll bring you Pat Novak For Hire. This is the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
To hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the homicide detail. A wealthy society woman in your city vanishes. 2 months pass before her disappearance is reported to the police. There's suspicion of foul play. Your job? Investigate. Webster's Dictionary. Definition of the word compare.
Compare. Examine for purpose of discovering resemblance or difference.
Now, let's compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
The resemblance. Fatimas are the same length as other king-size cigarettes, 85 millimeters. Fatima has the same circumference, 1 1/64 inches around.
And Fatima filters the smoke exactly the same long distance as other king-size cigarettes.
The difference. In Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild. You get all the advantages of extra length plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
So compare Fatima yourself. Your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima. Best of all long cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, February 8th. It was foggy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. We were on the way out from the office, and it was 11:23 a.m. when we got to the 9th floor of the medical dental building, room 912.
Dr. Marston?
Yes, what is it?
Police officers, doctor, like to talk to you.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Daydreaming, I guess. I didn't hear you come in.
Well, my name's Friday, doctor. This is my partner, Sergeant Romero.
How do you know?
How do you do, gentlemen?
It's about the missing persons report on your wife. You filed it yesterday.
Yes, that's right, Sergeant. Certainly glad you came. I'd like to have this whole thing straightened out as quickly as possible. I want my wife back with me.
Well, we'll do everything we can, Doctor. There's a few things we'd like to have you straighten out for us, if you will.
I thought I made it pretty clear in that report I filed yesterday. What is it you have a question about?
I've got a copy of the report right here. Says your wife disappeared December 9th. That's a little over 2 months ago, Doctor.
Yes, that's correct. December 9th, Sunday night. We were out having dinner, and we had a little argument, and Louise left. I didn't hear from her until the following Friday. That's when she wrote me the first letter. It was from New York.
Well, weren't you a little alarmed to find out your wife had left you and gone east?
Well, I wasn't too happy about it, but we'd had a few arguments before. Always figured it did both of us good if Louise got away for a little while. No, I wasn't particularly worried. She has friends in New York. Would you care for a cigarette?
Not right now,
thank you, Doctor.
Yeah?
Got a light for you.
Thank you.
I understand your wife didn't stay with her friends this trip, Doctor.
No, apparently she didn't. However, I wasn't too concerned. She wrote me letters twice a week, and then she wrote Stanley. That's our son. He's in military school. Louise wrote to him regularly, too.
And the last letter you got from your wife was about 2 weeks ago.
Yes, sir, exactly 2 weeks ago. Had the same postmark on it, New York.
Well, have you any idea at all where she was staying back there?
That's a strange part of it, Sergeant. Louise didn't put a return address on any of the letters. I inquired of some of our friends back there, but none of them had seen her. Well, I suppose she was staying at a hotel. I don't know which one, though.
Well, about those letters, Doctor, now you're sure that they're in your wife's handwriting. You don't think they could be forgeries, do you?
It's possible, but I don't think so, Sergeant. I know my wife's handwriting.
Do you have all the letters with you, sir?
Yes, I'll have my secretary get them before you leave. She's out to lunch now. Oh, excuse me, please.
Right ahead.
Yes, Dr. Marston. Oh, Miss Taylor. Oh, yes, I'm glad you reminded me. Thank you. I'm sorry, officers. There's a denture I have to have ready for one of my patients by this afternoon. Would you mind if I go ahead and work on it while we talk here?
No, it's perfectly all right, Doctor. You go right ahead.
Would you mind stepping in the lab back here?
All right, fine. Go ahead, man.
I'm sorry to interrupt everything like this. I do have to have this denture ready, though.
We understand, sir.
Doctor, you say the night your wife Louise disappeared, the two of you had an argument?
Yes, that's correct. We were having dinner out at our country club, and I guess Louise had too many cocktails. She gets in a nasty mood when she drinks too much. I asked her to stop drinking. She flared up and walked out of the place.
Did anyone besides yourself see her leave?
Oh, yes, 2 or 3 couples, friends of ours. When I found out Louise had gone off to New York, I thought, well, it was her way of teaching me a lesson. I wasn't too disturbed about it until the letters stopped coming.
Well, how about your son, Stanley? Do you know if he's still getting the letters from his mother?
No, he's not. I telephoned him up at his school. He stopped getting letters about the same time I did. Let's see, where did I put that casting ring? Oh, yes, here we are.
Then, as far as you know, Doctor, no one at all has actually seen your wife since that night at the country club when she walked out and left you.
That's correct. As I say, if I hadn't been getting those letters from her every week from New York, I would have called the police in long ago. Would you excuse me, please?
Oh, yeah.
Quite a bit of oxide in this gold crown I've cast here. A little bit of acid should take care of that.
Well, what's your theory on all this, Doctor? Your wife leaves suddenly and she goes to New York. She corresponds with you and your son, and then her letters stop coming. What do you think might have happened?
Well, frankly, Sergeant, the whole thing's a terrible family mix-up. Get this crown here out of the acid.
Well, how do you mean, Doctor, a family mix-up?
Well, just that. There's only one reason for Louise disappearing the way she has. Money. Money and that stepfather of hers. Say, would you switch on that small motor there, Sergeant? I've got to polish up this crown and get it in shape.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Thank you.
Well, what do you mean, Doctor? How does your wife's stepfather fit into all this?
He's money mad. It's about the size of it. I don't know if you're aware of it, but my wife, Louise, was left a considerable amount of money by her aunt. Well, it was a fortune, as a matter of fact. Louise's stepfather has always been trying to get his hands on it. Excuse me again.
Sure, go ahead. Well, and you think your wife's stepfather is responsible for her disappearance, is that right?
Oh, I'm not making any direct accusations, Sergeant. But 2 days ago, or 2 days before Louise disappeared, I had $80,000 in bonds signed over to her. Checked around since she's been gone. Haven't been able to locate the bonds anywhere.
You think she had the bonds with her when she left?
Guess I'm sure of it. Pardon me just a moment.
Yes, go ahead.
Uh-huh. That's a fine cast with sharp margins on it.
Well, now, the $80,000 worth of bonds, Doctor, do you have any way of proving that you gave those to your wife?
Oh, certainly. I had my wife signed a receipt for them. You're welcome to check it over if you like.
Mm-hmm. Just how do you think your wife's stepfather figures in there? Is there any indication he might have made a move to get the bonds?
Enough to satisfy me, yes. My secretary told me about it. Lenore Dexter, that's the girl in the reception room.
Oh, well, huh?
The night after my wife left me at the country club, that'd be December 10th, Miss Dexter was at the airport waiting for a friend to arrive on a plane. While she was waiting, she saw my wife and her stepfather cross through the waiting room and go out toward the main gate.
Mm-hmm. Your secretary's sure it was really your wife and her stepfather.
Well, that's what she told me. You're certainly welcome to talk to her yourself if you like.
Yes, and well, besides the bonds, do you know of anything else of value that your wife had with her when she left?
No, I don't think so. She had her fur coat on, of course. It's expensive. She was wearing a diamond ring, anniversary gift from me, large solitaire, worth quite a bit of money. You can get the description from the jeweler. I'll give you his name.
All right, Doctor. Your wife's stepfather, we'd like to have his name and address, too.
Surely. I'll have my secretary check on both of them right now.
All right, fine.
Sergeant, you've got to find Louise. I've got to have her back with me.
Well, we'll do everything we can, Doctor. We promise you that.
I know my wife wouldn't stay away of her own free will, not this long, not at a time like this.
How do you mean, sir?
Well, let me show you. Here it is. This is the final drawing the architect made for us. What do you think of it?
Oh, it's very nice.
Yeah, it certainly is.
It's got to be our own building. 12 stories, finest in the city.
Uh-huh.
Robert A. Marston Building for professional men. Louise and I have looked forward to it for a long time.
I understand.
We settled on the final plans a week before she disappeared. Contractors will start construction in a few weeks now. There's supposed to be a great day in our lives. Laying the cornerstone.
Yes, sir, I understand.
Great day. Robert A. Marston Building. It's a funny thing, isn't it, officers?
How's that?
Nothing's very great unless there's somebody to share it with.
Before we left the office of Dr. Robert Marston, we talked with his secretary, Miss Lenore Dexter. She confirmed the doctor's statement that on the night after Louise Marston had disappeared from the country club, she had seen both Mrs. Marston and her stepfather at the city's international airport. She said she did not follow them. She had no idea of their destination. Dr. Marston gave us the letters his wife had written him during her absence and also his wife's signed receipt for the $80,000 worth of bonds. Each of the letters was postmarked New York, and the dates on them ranged from December 15th to March 24th. Well, Ben and I drove back to the office and put in a call to the home of the missing woman's stepfather, a Mr. William House. Then we went down the hall to the office of Don Meyer, our handwriting expert. We gave him the letters, which supposedly had been written by Mrs. Marston from New York, along with a signed receipt for the bonds and various other exemplars of her handwriting, which we had obtained from her bank. 2:50 p.m., the missing woman's stepfather, William House, arrived at the office. He was a tall, graying man, dignified, well-dressed.
It's about time the police started looking into this thing. How long does a person have to be missing before there's an investigation?
The missing report was only filed yesterday, Mr. House. If you knew your stepdaughter was gone, why didn't you report it?
I've had private detectives working on this for a month. Had them checking everything about the case.
How much luck have they had?
Frankly, not much. But I still got them working on it.
Well, getting back to what we have on hand, Mr. House, how about this statement of Dr. Marston's secretary? She says she saw you with Mrs. Marston at the international airport the night after she disappeared.
It's a lie. I haven't been near that airport in 6 months. It's a lie, and I can prove it. I don't know what Marston's up to, but he isn't going to get away with it.
What do you mean by that, sir?
I think he's murdered Louise. I think he killed her and buried her somewhere. That's my honest opinion.
You sound sure of it.
I am sure of it. I knew Marston for what he was the day I met him. He's a fortune hunter, pure and simple. He's after Louise's money, and nothing's going to stop him. Nothing has stopped him.
Well, I was under the impression that Dr. Marston was wealthy before he married your stepdaughter. Isn't that right, sir?
Certainly not. He was just another poor dentist with a lot of big ideas. All this talk about putting up a building, naming it after himself. Why, Louise fought him on that constantly. He's some kind of crazy egotist.
Well, what about the $80,000 in bonds he says he signed over to Mrs. Marston?
If he told you that, he's a bigger liar than I thought.
Well, he gave us a receipt for the bonds. It was signed by his wife. Can you account for that?
Frankly, no. Either he got her signature on it by some kind of trick or he forged it. I'm sure he never had that much money. Those bonds belong to Louise.
And what about the letters Dr. Marston got from his wife? You think they were forged, too?
I'm positive they were. Don't you see, officer? It's the perfect cover-up for him.
Well, one way or the other, it's not going to take us long to find out the truth. Our handwriting man's checking over the letters and the bond receipt now. Can you fill us in at all on Dr. Marston's background, Mr. House?
Only since he's been connected with the family, since he married Louise. Say, would you give me a cigarette, please? I went off and left mine at home.
Oh, sure. Here you are.
Thank you. Thank you. I can't tell you how I feel about it, officer. I'm afraid of that man. I'm deathly afraid of him. I know he's done something terrible to Louise.
Well, how can you be so sure of it, Mr. House? You must have some basis for your opinion.
I just know, that's all, Sergeant. If Louise had just disappeared and there wasn't any question of money involved, I wouldn't be so anxious about it. But $80,000 worth of bonds, that'd be enough to tempt Marston to murder his own mother. You don't know him like I do.
Well, what do you know about him, sir? There must be something concrete.
I can tell you this much, officer. Marston's a man who is capable of murder. Now, I'm a sensible man. I don't walk up and down the street looking for murderers. But I know when we've got one in the family. That much you've got to believe. You will believe it.
Well, excuse me just a minute. I'll get that. Homicide, Friday. Yeah, Don. Is that right? All of them? Right. Thank you, Don. Well, that was our handwriting man, Mr. House.
Yes?
He just finished checking the writing in those letters and on the receipt for the bonds.
What did he say? Forgeries?
No, sir. They're genuine. Every one of them. As soon as William House left the office, Ben and I began an immediate check of his whereabouts the night after his stepdaughter, Louise Marston, had disappeared. We talked to his friends and associates, members of the staff at the club where he lived. We found a dozen people who backed up House's claim that he was nowhere in the vicinity of the airport the night after Mrs. Marston dropped from sight. We went back and talked with Dr. Marston's secretary, Lenore Dexter. She still insisted that she had actually seen House at the airport with the missing woman. Dr. Marston and the stepfather continued to accuse each other of murder. At our request, repeated efforts were made by the New York police to locate Mrs. Marston. No luck. We checked and rechecked with the maid at the home of the missing woman. All she could tell us was that Louise Marston never returned home after leaving the country club, and also that she'd been wearing a fur coat and an expensive diamond solitaire ring. A week passed, and then 2 weeks. We stayed on it, but there wasn't much progress. The case of Louise Marston came to a virtual standstill Wednesday, February 24th.
Hi, Joe.
Morning. Anything new?
Yeah, I think we got a break. The Marston case.
Oh, what do you got?
Maid out of Dr. Marston's home. She called first thing this morning. Said Dr. Marston had a little dinner party out there last night.
What about it?
One of the people there was Marston's secretary, that Lenore Dexter.
Oh, yeah.
She was wearing a large diamond ring.
Yeah?
Maid got a good look at the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Says it's the same one Mrs. Marston was wearing the night she disappeared.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic cases from official police files. Now, let's look at our Fatima files.
Listed under B. Borden, Mrs. Clay Borden of Palm Springs in San Francisco. She says,
pleasing, distinctive, and really extra mild. That's the way I'd describe Fatima. It's definitely the best long cigarette.
friends, more smokers now insist on Fatima than ever before. Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild, superbly blended, to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, clean gold and yellow package.
Remember, Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
So if you smoke a king-size cigarette, compare Fatima.
You'll find they now cost the same. But your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Wednesday, February 24th, 9:15 a.m. Ben and I drove out to the home of Dr. Robert Marston and talked to the maid. She told us that on the previous evening, the doctor had had a small dinner party and that one of the guests was the doctor's secretary, Lenore Dexter. The maid told us that she'd gotten a close look at the diamond ring that Miss Dexter was wearing and that she was sure it was the same ring that the doctor's wife, Louise Marston, had been wearing the night she disappeared. 10:20 a.m. We left the Marston house and headed downtown to the doctor's office in the medical dental building. The office was closed and locked. We got back in the car and drove out Sunset Boulevard to Lenore Dexter's home address. We found the secretary having breakfast alone in her two-room apartment. She explained that on Wednesdays, the doctor never opened his office before noon. We questioned her about the dinner party at the doctor's home the night before. We asked her about the diamond ring that she wore at the party. She became confused and hesitant.
Well, what about it, Miss Dexter? Was that your diamond ring you were wearing at the dinner party?
No, Sergeant, it wasn't. I guess it belongs to Dr. Marston, either him or his wife.
Well, did he give it to you as a present?
No. You see, I guess the doctor had a few cocktails before dinner. Maybe one too many. He went upstairs and came down with the ring. He insisted I wear it. He was very insistent.
Uh-huh.
I didn't want to make a scene, so I put the ring on. I gave it back to the doctor just before we left the house. My boyfriend was with me at the party. We had a terrible argument over it. He's very jealous.
Tell me, Miss Dexter, did Dr. Marston have any special reason for wanting you to wear the ring?
No. Just that he liked me and I was pretty and I ought to have pretty things. My boyfriend didn't like him at all.
Well, had you ever seen that particular diamond ring, Miss Dexter? I mean, before last night?
Well, I don't know, Sergeant. I think so. I'm not sure.
Well, where do you think you saw the ring before?
Mrs. Marston. I think I saw her wearing it once.
Was she wearing it the night you were supposed to have seen her at the airport?
I don't know what you mean. I didn't notice the ring, but I saw Mrs. Marston at the airport.
I'd like to have you think this thing out for yourself, Miss Dexter. Mrs. Marston's been gone for almost 3 months now, and there's a strong possibility that she might have been murdered. You can make up your own mind about it, miss. If you're not involved in that disappearance, I'd advise you to tell us the truth. It might save you a lot of trouble. Miss Dexter?
You mean about my seeing Mr. House at the airport with the doctor's wife the night after she disappeared?
Yes, ma'am, that's right. You sure that's the truth?
I didn't want to get involved, Sergeant. I didn't want any part of it.
You mean you didn't see Mrs. Marston and her stepfather at the airport that night that you made it all up?
I didn't make it up, Sergeant. I swear I didn't. He told me what to say. He said to do it as a favor for him.
Who's that, miss?
Dr. Marston.
We continued to question the secretary, Lenore Dexter. She confessed that Dr. Marston had directed her to tell the story about seeing Louise Marston and her stepfather, William House, at the international airport. It was all a complete lie. She said that Marston had explained that the whole thing was just a practical joke, that it didn't mean anything. When Mrs. Marston was officially reported missing, she thought of going to the police, but Marston had frightened her out of taking any such action. The only other suspicious thing she could recall about Mrs. Marston's disappearance was a conversation between the doctor and his architect, Mr. Harold Whitmore. He was the architect who had planned and designed the projected Robert A. Marston building for professional men. Well, the secretary told us the doctor's conversation with the architect had taken place about a month before Mrs. Marston's disappearance, and that she'd heard the doctor mention to the architect something about New York and a packet of letters. Lenore Dexter was taken downtown, where she gave us a complete signed statement. Ben and I got in the car and drove to the offices of architect Harold Whitmore over on South Hope Street. He was a tall, florid-faced man, very cooperative.
Yeah, I remember that conversation with Dr. Marston. He gave me a bunch of letters, at least a couple of dozen anyway. They were addressed to the doctor and his little boy Stanley.
What did he want you to do with the letters, Mr. Whitmore?
He asked me if I had any friends in New York, and I said I did. Then he said he was playing some kind of practical joke on his wife and son. He gave me the letters and asked me if I'd send them to a friend in New York and have him mail them back one at a time.
You agreed to do that?
Yeah, that's right. The letters were all sealed and stamped, all in order, the way they were supposed to be mailed. I just sent them back to this friend of mine, Bob Rogers, in New York. Forgot all about it.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Whitmore, how long have you known Dr. Marston? Very long?
No, not too long, only in a business way. He wants to put up this office building of his, and I'm handling the job for him. He's sure nuts on the subject. Can't wait till we start construction on the job. I think his life depended on it.
You know much about his personal life? Where'd you first meet?
Let's see, I think it was around October of last year. He and Mrs. Marston were building a summer place down at Malibu, and I helped out with the plans. The doctor was always hanging around there, helping out with the work whenever he could.
Uh-huh. And that's the only previous contact that you had with him, huh?
And that's about all, yeah, building the beach house.
Dr. Marston thought he had some new ideas about building a new type basement in the place.
That's so?
Yeah, not a bad job on a cellar for an amateur. Used enough cement on it to sink a battleship.
Well, just a second, Mr. Whitmore. Did Dr. Marston cement in the basement while the house was being built? Is that...
No. About a couple of months later, around the middle of December, I think.
Do you remember the date exactly when he did the cement work?
Not exactly. About 12th or 13th of December, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right after his wife disappeared.
Wednesday, February 24th, 1:30 p.m. Ben and I picked up Dr. Robert Marston and brought him downtown to the office. We questioned him for an hour and informed him of the evidence against him. Despite the statement of architect Harold Whitmore, the doctor insisted he was innocent of any crime connected with the disappearance of his wife. We contacted the New York Police Department and asked them to check on architect Whitmore's friend, Robert E. Rogers. A special detail of men was dispatched to the summer home at Malibu to see what they could find. Half an hour later, Dr. Robert Marston was placed in a car, and Ben and I drove him to the Malibu home. We continued questioning him during the drive, but he refused to make a statement of any kind. On our arrival at the beach cottage, we found Marston's young son, Stanley, together with a maid and the family butler. We took Dr. Marston downstairs to the basement. The men had a large section of the cement flooring ripped up. They were digging. In the room up above, we could hear young Stanley Marston playing on a toy harmonica.
I'd like to know something, Sergeant, just for my information.
Yes, sir?
Why do you think I'd kill my wife? Why do you think I'd do such a thing?
We're not sure yet if you did kill her.
And why do you have these men doing this? Digging up the whole basement. Why do you think I killed her? You won't find anything. You might as well tell them to stop now. They won't find anything. I explained everything to you. Why can't you take my word for it?
And you still haven't explained about those letters, why you had them sent to New York, why you had them mailed back here one at a time.
Got nothing to do with it. Why can't you believe me?
Your wife didn't disappear without a reason, Doctor, and we'd like to know what the reason is.
I told you a dozen times over. You know what happened. We were at the country club, Louise and I. She was drinking a lot. I told her to lay off. We had an argument. She walked out, that's all. She walked out. I didn't see her anymore.
Yes, sir. We'll have it all worked out. Don't worry about it.
Why can't that maid look after the boy up there? Making all that noise. Why can't you take him out somewhere down at the beach?
Romero?
Yeah?
I'll see you a minute.
Oh, yeah, right.
Sergeant, what do you want me to say?
What's that?
They've found her. You know that. Louise, right where I buried her. What do you want me to say?
Well, that's up to you.
Guess you wouldn't understand, would you, Sergeant? The only thing I ever wanted in my life. She wouldn't let me have it. The building. Robert A. Marston building. For professional men.
You mean your wife wouldn't give you the money for it? That's why you quarreled, is that it?
I tried to tell her. Through one fight after another. She didn't know how much it meant to me.
And that's why you killed her, huh?
I followed her outside the country club that night. Drove her to my office. She was pretty drunk.
Mm-hmm.
We pretended she was on a trip to New York. I had her write the letters. Had her sign the receipt for the bonds. Wasn't hard to do.
How'd you kill her?
Put my hands around her throat. Didn't stop until she was dead.
Joe?
Yeah, man.
I found her. You ready to go, Doctor?
All right. It was a dream of a lifetime, Sergeant. I almost had it. The Robert A. Marston building. Finest in the city.
Yeah. You want to come upstairs, Doctor? We'll get your coat.
You'll try to understand, won't you? I wanted something that'd last. My own building. My name on it. Something you'd remember.
Yeah.
That's the reason I killed Louise. She didn't want me to have it. My own building. Something that would last. Make the people remember.
Well, you made it, Doctor. Why worry?
What?
You don't need a building. They'll remember you.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 3rd, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, our latest sales figures indicate that Fatima is undoubtedly the fastest-growing long cigarette in the country. And I'm sure you'll agree that there must be a sound reason for Fatima's ever-increasing popularity. Well, to my way of thinking, that reason can be summed up in just two words: Fatima quality. You'll spot it instantly. Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has. So tomorrow, Buy a pack of Fatimas and prove to yourself that the difference is quality.
Robert Alexander Marston was charged with murder in the first degree. 10 days after his trial opened in Superior Court, the suspect took his own life in his jail cell by hanging. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy next over most NBC stations.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to accident investigation, hit and run detail. You receive a call that two elderly women have been struck down in a crosswalk by a hit and run driver. The women lie in Georgia Street Hospital. Their condition is critical. Your job? Find the driver. In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild, superbly blended, to give you Fatima's much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect Fatima cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality. Even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow Fatima package.
So compare Fatima yourself today.
You'll find Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Yes, light up a Fatima. Your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Saturday, September 5th. It was mild in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of accident investigation, hit and run detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Benny Caldwell, chief of traffic. My name's Friday. It was 7:35 p.m. when I got to 4656 Collis Avenue. My front door.
Is that you, Joseph?
Yeah, Ma. Got both Sunday papers.
Oh, good. It's nice music on the radio, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty. It's your favorite song, isn't it?
Yes. See you in my dreams. Every Saturday night we used to get together down at the old Cromwell house on West Adams Boulevard. Weekly dance, you know.
Yeah, I know.
It was a lovely old home down there. Had a beautiful ballroom upstairs. Always had a good time at the Cromwell house.
Was that before you were married?
Oh, my, yes. Met your father through Mildred Cromwell, you know. She was quite fond of him, too.
Is that so?
Yes, she was. Oh, nothing serious, but she used to think quite a lot of that.
You broke him up, huh?
Well, Joseph, you know I wouldn't do a thing like that.
Millie was only mildly interested in Sam, I wouldn't come between two people that were happy. You know that.
No, that isn't the way he used to tell it. Said you just broke him up, that's all.
Yes. Well. He ever tell you about the time all the girls invited some of the fellows from the Royal Order of the Western Wildlife Protective Brotherhood, Southern Charter, over to the basket raffle?
To a what?
Basket raffle. All the girls packed tasty lunches, and the boys bid for them at auction.
Oh, yeah.
It was a warm summer evening, just like tonight. It was a grand affair. Annie Shellman was there with Jim Donahoe, and your father came with Lorenzo Fisher, Grand Vizier of the Wildlifers.
Yeah, sounds like quite an evening.
Oh, it was, Joseph, it really was. Samuel bid the highest for my basket, $10.15. I'll always think to this day that's the reason Millie Cromwell's been so cruel toward me.
Yeah, could be. You want part of the examiner, Ma?
Oh, thank you, son. I want to finish turning this collar in your shirt.
Okay.
You wouldn't think a basket lunch could come between two good friends, would you?
A big fine? What's that?
Who'd ever think a basket lunch would break up a friendship like Millie Cromwell's and mine?
No, ma'am, you wouldn't. I'll get it, Ma. Friday talking.
This McDermott, Joe.
Oh, yeah, Mac.
Got a bad one. Two elderly women were struck by a hit and run.
Well, just a minute, Mac. I can't. Hey, Ma, would you turn down the radio, please?
Go on.
Thank you. Yeah, Mac, go ahead.
3 blocks west of Riverside on Los Feliz. We have 2 traffic cars out there now for the preliminary investigation. You and Romero better roll on it.
Right, Mac, right away.
I've already notified Romero. He's on his way over to pick you up now.
Okay, I'll be ready.
Keep me informed, huh?
Right, Mac. Bye.
You have to go back to work, Joseph?
Yeah, where'd you put my flashlight, do you remember?
It's right here in the desk.
Okay, thank you.
What is it, son? An accident?
Yeah, bad one, it sounds like. Hit and run.
Who was it? Did they say?
A couple of elderly women struck down up on Los Feliz.
Isn't that terrible?
Yeah, Ma, they're all terrible. 10 minutes after I hung up the phone, Ben arrived, and at 8:10 p.m. we got to the intersection of Los Feliz Boulevard and Commonwealth Avenue. The bodies of the 2 victims had been removed and taken to the Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. One of the uniformed officers was taking photographs of the scene. His partner was picking up particles of glass and all physical evidence left by the hit-and-run driver. He identified himself as Officer E.W. Hyde, Unit 61T.
Few pieces of the headlight lens and the chrome ring about all.
And this is the point of impact, huh?
Yeah, that's right. It's 24 feet south of the northerly pavement and about 12 feet east of the westerly curb line.
Right in the crosswalk up there, huh?
Yeah.
And freshly painted, the driver couldn't miss seeing it.
Yeah, it's well illuminated. Good street lighting up here.
Hyde, were the signals in operation?
No, they weren't. Boulevard stopped here, though. Blinkers are all in operation.
How far were the bodies of the victims thrown?
Body number 1 was thrown 70 feet. Body number 2 was knocked 38 feet in the southwest direction. Both came to rest approximately at the center line of the street.
Whoever did it was going at a high rate of speed.
That's what we figured. I told you there were no skid marks, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Any witnesses?
Yeah, there's 3, but only one I think will be helpful.
What's the name and address?
He's right over there on the curb now. Name's Richard Morgan. Runs the nursery there.
Well, thanks, Hyde. You're going to make the reports and book the evidence, are you?
Yeah, I'll take care of it. That's Morgan over there in the tan overalls.
All right. Thanks a lot, Hyde.
Okay.
Your name, Richard Morgan, is that right, sir?
Yeah, that's fine.
Police officers, Mr. Morgan. This is Sergeant Romero.
How are you? Hi, sir.
My name's Friday. We're out of accident investigation. I'd like to talk to you about the accident that just happened here.
Sure was a bad one. Hope you catch those kids. Didn't even slow down.
I understand you witnessed the accident. Wonder if you'd be kind enough to tell us what you saw.
I was just closing up my nursery here. Just unlocked my car and was about to get in when I saw this car come shooting up Los Feliz there. Fast clip.
Where were the 2 women?
They were just stepping off the curb onto the crosswalk over there. I could tell they didn't see the car. I yelled, honked my horn. Guess I wasn't quick enough. It was just awful.
Go on, Mr. Morgan.
Well, the way that car hit those women looked to me like he knocked them 50 feet at least. Then, just like nothing at all, the car raced right on through the intersection on down Los Feliz, that way.
Did you get a look at the driver?
No, sir, not too good, but I believe he had blonde hair.
Looked to me like he was alone in the car.
Mm-hmm. Anything more about him?
Looked like a young kid to me. I'll bet on that. He was a young, blonde kid, about 18, 19, on in there.
Now, how about the car he was driving? Can you help us out there, sir?
I believe it was a Ford. I don't know what year. Yeah, a Ford sedan, two-door.
What color was it?
Black, dark blue. I'd say black.
Did you happen to get the license number, sir?
No, sir. Everything happened so fast. I guess I was kind of stunned for a minute. You know how you'd be. Sorry, wish I did.
You're pretty sure about the car, Mr. Morgan. Are you familiar enough with cars to be positive it was a Ford?
Yeah, I think I am.
And you don't know what year the car was?
No, sir. I'm sorry I don't. Just know it was a Ford sedan.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Morgan. We may have to check back with you later.
Anytime. I'd rather do whatever I can to help you get that driver.
How can we get a hold of you, Mr. Morgan?
I'm right here all times. Morgan Nurseries. 4402.
Well, thank you very much.
Those two old women, they didn't have a chance the minute they stepped off the curb. Crazy kid didn't even stop to see if he could help him.
Yes, sir.
Didn't see him. Maybe it was Ford.
Before we left the scene of the accident, we interviewed the other two. They could add nothing to Richard. Investigation disclosed victim number 1 was victim number 2 was identified as Elizabeth Ann Carey, age 65. Ben and I drove over to the Hollywood station where we met Officer Hyde, who was just completing his reports and was booking the physical evidence found at the scene of the accident. Included in the evidence were the top coats worn by the victims at the time they were struck down. All this was turned over to Lieutenant Lee Jones in the crime lab. Ben and I compiled the small amount of information that we had, the physical scene, and scanned information that the witnesses were able to give us. Not enough for us to attempt to identify the driver of the hit-and-run car. Well, there wasn't much to go on. PM. We got a call from his investigation and wanted to see us right away.
Well, we haven't got much of almost anything. First off, your witness out there, what was his name?
Morgan?
Yeah, well, Morgan was right. The car was black. Then a microscopic analysis on scrapings found on the victim's coats.
Yeah.
I'd say a black car, previously painted tan or sand color under the black. That was one of the things he's positive about. How about the make and the models? Anything there? Is that too much there? I think maybe I can help you there, too.
What's the break in?
Let's see. Just got back from the lighthouse. Ran a lens meter test on those pieces of broken headlight lens, and the diopter reading shows that particular type lens was made in 1934.
Well, how about the make of the car, Lee?
The only company that used this type of lens was the Ford Motor Company. Pretty positive about it? Ran a spectrographic test on the chemical composition of the glass in the lens. Checks out. Well, you got a car to work on. That's it, 1934 Ford black.
Oh, thanks a lot, Lee.
It's all right. When you find the car, I can tie it in definitely for you.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, excuse me. Crime Lab, Jones. They're right here, Mac. Just a minute. Either one of you, it's McDermott. I'll take it, Joe.
Okay.
Yeah, Mac from Merrill. Oh, when? Yeah, me too. Yeah, right. Mac just got word from Georgia Street.
Yeah.
Both victims. They just died.
With the death of the two victims, what had only been a hit-and-run felony had now become a case of manslaughter, 2 counts. Ben and I went back to the office and met with Lieutenant McDermott. Past experience has proven to the traffic officer that the quickest and surest way to a successful prosecution of a hit-and-run case is with the full cooperation of the average citizen. A hit-and-run felony differs from the ordinary police case in that the investigating officers are not dealing with a criminal suspect. In a case of this nature, the guilty party could well be the outstanding citizen of his community. In all probability, he had no motive for a crime, only motive in running from the scene of the accident. Well, the one way to gain citizen cooperation was to acquaint him with all the details of the accident, any and all information that we had or would obtain as the case worked towards solution. 10:15 p.m., Saturday, September 5th. In addition to the emergency broadcast put out at the time of the accident, supplemental broadcasts and APBs were sent out. Ben and I then started to make up a special police bulletin.
Wanted for manslaughter and hit-and-run felony.
Okay. Information regarding identity of occupant of following hit-and-run vehicle. Regarding identity of occupant.
Yeah. Vehicle, okay.
Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Involved in accident resulting in death of 2 female pedestrians.
Accident. Yes. Accident occurred September 5th. Approximately what time, Joe?
7:30 p.m.
Right. On Los Feliz Boulevard at intersection of Commonwealth Avenue.
Okay. Now, can I see what we got?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Occupant, young male, Caucasian, approximately 18 to 19 years of age. Vehicle, 1934 Ford sedan, black with tan undercoat, driven by male occupant. This car will have extensive damage to front end. Facsimile photographs of type of car wanted appear on this bulletin.
I got the photos right here. Side, front, and back view.
Okay, this ought to do it. Let's get it down to the printing bureau right away, huh?
Yeah, auto paint shops, wrecking yards, garages, repair stations, used car lots, insurance company.
The daily papers are running a spread on it in the next edition.
That ought to cover it?
Yeah, it's all there if it gets to the right person. Wednesday, September 9th, 10:45 a.m. The inquest of the 2 hit-and-run victims was held, and the jury returned a quick verdict of manslaughter, 2 counts, naming a John Doe as guilty. For the next 3 weeks, we received numerous phone calls concerning the black Ford sedan. All leads were checked out and failed to materialize. Cars fitting the description of the wanted vehicle were constantly being stopped and the occupants questioned. We got nowhere. Ben and I followed up on our bulletins. We checked various garages and paint shops. Used car lots were checked and rechecked. No luck. Monday, October 3rd, 2:30 p.m. We were on our way back to the office after having canvassed several wrecking yards and repair stations.
I never knew they made so many black 34 Fords here. I don't see how we could have overlooked anything, do you?
No, I don't. Something ought to break on this thing soon.
If we just had a little more to go on, that license number, somebody could have seen it.
Yeah, that'd help, wouldn't it? I'll get it. Traffic, Friday.
Hello, my name's Dan Provost. I run a used car lot in Dan's Corner at 54736 6th Avenue.
Yes, sir?
I'd like to talk to somebody regarding that last bulletin you sent out September 7th this year.
Well, I think maybe I can help you, sir.
That 34 Ford you're looking for on that hit-and-run thing?
Yeah, that's right.
Young kid, blonde, says he's got some repair work for us.
Yeah?
I got one of my mechanics stalling him now.
What's the car look like, Mr. Provost?
Like the one you're looking for. The reason I called is because he says he banged up the front end. Right away I remembered the bulletin.
All right, sir, see if you can hold him there, will you? We'll be right over.
I'll do my best.
We'll be right there, sir.
I think I've got your man for you.
It took us to get to 50 Dan's Corner. We crossed over the gravel-covered lot to the rear where we found it.
Yes, sir, that's right. I'm sorry I did my best, but I couldn't hold him here without making him suspicious, but I'm sure he'll be back.
How do you know?
You see, he bought this car from us, says he had a little accident and wanted us to fix it up for him. I told him we would if he'd bring it in.
Why do you think you left? It's only been about 15 minutes since you called us downtown.
Well, he might have heard me talking to you.
Well, if he did, and he's our man, I doubt very much if he'll be back.
Oh, I bet he will. Blonde kid, about 19 years old, driving a black 34 Ford, just like the one you're after.
Well, can you give us his name and the license number of the car?
Sure, it's Curly Watson. License number, got it right here. 9R9707. I looked it up on his contract.
And this name, Curly, you have his full name?
Sorry, I guess I'm a little excited. It's Wilfred E. Watson. Everybody around here calls him Curly. I'm pretty sure he's the one you want. I know that car. I bought it from us about 5 months ago.
Well, it's just too bad you couldn't have detained him just a little longer, Mr. Provost.
Well, like I say, you don't have to worry. He'll be back.
What makes you so sure?
From the way he described the damage to us, I'd say he's got about $75 to $100 worth of work on that front end.
Yeah?
I know he's the man you want. I'm going to be in trouble if he's not.
What do you mean?
Well, it was the only thing I could do on the spur of the moment like that.
Yeah?
That's how I know for sure he'll be back here.
Well, how's that?
I told him I'd fix his car free.
You are in the forgery division of a Metropolitan Police Department. Handwriting analysis.
All right, now write the alphabet in lowercase, please.
You are listening to a handwriting expert taking an exemplar of a suspect's handwriting.
Now write the numerals from 1 to 10, please.
This handwriting sample will be compared with a forged signature. Side by side, 2 signatures may often look alike, but closer examination will prove a world of difference. You'll find the same is true when you compare king-size cigarettes.
Fatimas are the same length as any other king-size cigarette, 85 millimeters. Fatima has the same circumference, 1 1/64 inches around.
And Fatima filters the smoke exactly the same long distance as other king-size cigarettes.
But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Fatima gives you extra mildness, a much different, much better flavor and aroma. You get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
So compare Fatima yourself. Your first puff will tell you,
that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Best of all, long cigarettes.
We called Lieutenant McDermott and filled him in. He sent Sergeants Kilpatrick and McClendon out to relieve Ben and me and to maintain a stakeout on Dan's corner, the used car lot, in the event the suspect should return. We went back downtown to R&I. Wilfred E. Watson had a record and was wanted by the Fresno Police Department, where he had jumped bail. The charge was grand theft. We took Watson's mugshot back to the used car lot, where he was positively identified by Dan Provost. Ben and I went to his last known address. The landlady told us that Watson had moved approximately a month ago and had not left a forwarding address. From his mama sheet, we obtained a list of his friends and associates. All efforts to locate him failed. The stakeout continued. We showed the mugshot to Richard Mortigan, the one good witness to the accident. He said he could not identify Watson as he did not get too good a look at him, but he stated that there was a possibility that he could be the man. A week went by. The whereabouts of the suspect was still unknown. Tuesday, October 10th, Ben and I were out running down a lead on Watson when we received a call to return to the office. Lieutenant McDermott met us as we got there.
I put that call in for you.
Anything doing there?
I got a lead. I don't know how good it'll be, but we ought to check it out right away.
Well, what do you got?
We just received a call from the Santa Monica PD.
Uh-huh.
Mrs. Agnes Hastings called in and gave him a little something.
Yeah?
As I say, maybe there's nothing in it, but see what you think.
All right.
The Hastings woman stopped in at a local soda fountain down there. The place is patronized by the hot rod crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Said she overheard part of a conversation between a couple of the kids.
Yeah?
This one dark-haired boy was sitting at the counter when another kid walked in the front door. The kid that came in had red hair. The dark-haired kid said, "Hiya, Red," and the redhead sat down by him.
Yeah.
And one of the kids made some remark about the boy's red hair. Asked him why he dyed it. The redhead said, "Well, they're looking for a blonde, aren't they?"
Yeah? It could be a little something, huh?
Yeah, I thought so. Then the Hastings woman followed the red-headed boy outside and took the license number of his car.
Mm-hmm. Anything there?
I don't know yet. Ran it through DMV, but it's not in the file. Mark Benson's got a call into Sacramento now.
Anything new on Watson?
No, nothing yet.
Well, where can we find this Agnes Hastings, Max?
Oh, here's the address right here.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that's all she had. Said she'd been following the hit-and-run story in the papers. Thought this might be worth forwarding anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, just a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Traffic, McDermott. Oh, hi, Art. Yeah? Oh, you did, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, right. Bye. That was Art Kilpatrick. He and McClendon picked up Watson.
Yeah, anything?
They're bringing him in now. They say this Watson denies the hit and run. Jones will check his car over, then we'll know a little more.
Well, there's not much we can do till we hear from Benson on the Santa Monica thing.
Well, maybe there is.
What's that?
We got 2 leads. We can hope one of them's right.
While waiting for the call from Mark Benson at CHP, Ben and I drove over to the police garage on South Figueroa. Wilfred Watson's car had been impounded, and Lee Jones had made his investigation. His findings eliminated Watson's 34 Ford as being the hit-and-run car. Investigation showed that Watson's car was involved in an accident, but this was 5 days prior to the killing of the 2 women pedestrians. Wilfred E. Watson was booked for the Fresno authorities for prosecution on their warrant. This left only the one lead, the red-headed boy who had dyed his hair. If Agnes Hastings' observations had been correct, the fact that the boy originally had blonde hair made him a possible suspect. 11 a.m. The information from DMV came through from Sacramento. The car was registered to a Calvin L. Martin, 16 Boardwalk Lane, Santa Monica. The car was a 1939 Dodge sedan, legal the same. 16 Boardwalk Lane was a small beach house facing out on the Pacific Ocean in the town of Santa Monica. 11:26 a.m. We arrived in front of the house.
This is it, number 16.
Yeah, all right, let's go up on the porch.
Mm-hmm. don't see anybody around. Looks like nobody's home.
Well, let's try the bell. I guess you're right. Nobody home.
Yeah. Let's check the garage, huh?
All right. It's around the side, isn't it?
Yeah, it's right there.
Oh, yeah.
Padlock. Maybe there's a window around the side. Yeah. Come here, Joe.
All right.
Window's kind of dirty. I'll wipe it off a little.
Yeah, that's better, huh? Can you see anything?
Take a look, Joe.
Let me see. Yeah. Looks like a 34 Ford to me.
Notice the left front fender?
Yeah. Pretty badly dented, isn't it?
Looks like we're home, maybe, huh?
Well, I'd like to get a closer look.
Thanks much, Sid. See you back to work, huh? Sure. Okay.
Young kid got out of a car out front. Looks like a redhead from here.
Come on.
Hi. You men want something?
Police officers.
Yeah.
Do you live here?
Yes, I do. What's wrong?
What's your name?
Louis Martin.
Who is Calvin L. Martin?
My father. Why?
Does he own a 1939 Dodge?
Yeah, that's right. Anything wrong?
Whose car is that down in the garage there?
Belongs to a friend of mine. I just let him keep it in there.
What's his name?
Jesse.
Yeah, well, Jesse what?
Jesse Armstrong.
Where does he live?
Over on Venice Boulevard.
What's the number?
I don't know offhand.
And you let him park his car here in your garage? You don't know where he lives?
Well, I know, but I just can't think of it. I don't understand. What's wrong?
You got a key to the garage?
No, Jesse's got it.
You don't keep a key to your own garage?
No, I let Jesse keep it.
You always had red hair?
Sure. Why?
Red on top and blonde at the roots. Is that it?
I wish you'd tell me what's going on.
No, Armstrong, you tell us.
Well,
Watch it, Joe. All right. Let's hold it right here. I didn't do anything. Let me go.
Well, how about it, son? That's the second time you tried to run now, isn't it?
How'd you find me? Who told you?
You want to tell us about it?
I didn't mean to hit those two women. I was coming home from up in L.A. I was late, and I was trying to hurry to get home. I didn't see them until it was too late.
Why didn't you stop? Why'd you run?
I was afraid. I just couldn't face it. I thought I could get away with it, I guess. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it.
Do you know those two old women died as a result of you running them down?
No. I didn't know they'd die.
All right, come on, son. Let's go.
I didn't really mean to do it. I'll tell everybody I'm sorry. I am sorry. That'll make a difference, won't it?
You killed two people. You figured.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 17th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 81, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, I can give you over a dozen good reasons why Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes, but I'd rather let Fatima speak for itself. That's why I suggest that you buy a pack tomorrow, and then compare Fatima with any other long cigarette. You'll find, just as I have, Fatima's extra mildness gives you a much better flavor and aroma. You get all the advantages of extra length plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has. Ask your dealer for Fatima, best of all long cigarettes.
The suspect, Louis T. Martin, was found guilty of manslaughter. He was sentenced to 1 year in the county jail and was placed on probation for 5 years. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy next over most NBC stations.